And hello everyone, and welcome to the 51st session of the Devouring Dark.
Yay!
So, last time, which was quite a long time ago, we technically went in the future last time, but this time, we're going back to the past. So what happened last time we went in the past? There was all kinds of stuff.
Alison got banished towards the not so happy place.
Yeah, that was at the end. Let's not surprise or spoil the ending before we get through the other stuff. So,
DT defend our hostage slash guest slash.
Yeah, you guys got out of the plane of ash and were in a different location, and it turned out that Mr. Hosmish was deceiving you, and you managed to get him to agree to go along with you peacefully. And you guys managed to get to Decep's castle.
Loading mic again.
Yeah, there we go.
There we go. Yeah.
Either way, so there we go. You made it to Decep's castle, in which Alatar managed to lead the chariot back into the stable, and you guys started going up the steps, and apparently Arosan and DT weren't too happy with how the Aarakocra, were treating the prisoner, and they tried to stop them. However, they're militarized and they didn't enjoy that much. So they tried to stop him, and the group tried to stop Erosan, and multiple things started happening, and Erosan got banished to a different location.
DT just resisted the banishment.
Yes. So Erosan is in a strange location. He doesn't know where he is. It kind of looks like a stone building, in which let's see. There was red carpeting on the top and blue carpeting at the bottom, and he decided to go down because he heard a weird laugh on the top. However, there was still something down at the bottom of the stairway, and the thing was kind of creepy, and it managed to deal quite a bit of damage in a single strike. It told him to run, and everybody else is in the middle of fighting off soldiers in the middle of a hallway.
Oh, or fighting off DT.
That's true too. So there's soldiers being fought, there's DT being fought, and Erosan is fighting a weird jester clown type guy.
DT is stuck in the wall, which I thought Lily was trying to help out of the wall.
Trying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I erased your turn orders and didn't bother to write them down. So
turn initiative.
Yes.
Boom! What a waste of a 20.
Alright.
Indeed. Indeed.
However,
well, Alison and DT are doing well.
I do remember something, so I'm gonna have to input. I'm gonna add him into the turn order, or at least this thing. And unfortunately, it gets to go at the top.
Oh, bummer.
Automatically. Due to the events that were happening last time. I do remember some of the stuff. So, like some of the ordering. However, that's him, and something else. Just gonna use... I don't know why this thing's all the way over here, but I'll just drag it up. Click add turn.
I also remember a croaker being stuck in the wall.
Oh, one of them... They
Flew
just...
off with a cursed spare.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
that's
is
true,
well.
That's
well,
true too.
got dragged away by cursed spear.
But the one that was hit into the wall was knocked unconscious.
Yeah.
And this thing gets a 20. So, we're starting at the top of the turn order, where the jester just goes, and he says, I forget the exact wording, but I'll try to get it as best as I can.
That's the important part.
He says, this isn't any fun. Why don't you just run? And now it is your turn, Aeroson. He looks like he's not going to take an attack of opportunity against you if you choose to run away.
Well, running would be very fun, but I'm going to do something else.
Okay, sure. You've had quite a bit of time. So, what are you doing? Okay,
I'm going to jump on myself and start hopping away like a grasshopper, doubling my distance from, which would be 60 to 120 feet away.
Alright. So he goes, even more fun! So he's got a weird pitch change. Sometimes he'll be deep and sometimes his voice will be extremely high pitched.
And I thought I still had blur on me, if I was correct.
Did you write down that you had that on you? Since
No, I
ended
don't.
The thing? If you didn't write it down, too bad. So you don't have it.
Then I will cast something else on me, and that is Shield of Faith.
Okay.
Which just I can do is a bonus action, so
yeah, an action and a bonus action, so you can do both.
So I've now 21 AC.
Alright. And he's watching you jump away, so where are you jumping? Currently, all you see is... It's quite dark in here, so you have dark vision, so you can see.
Yes, I do.
But it's still dark, so you can't see forever. In your current field of vision, you see the stairs going up, and you see a blue carpet, or no, red carpet on the top. Red carpet, that's headed, I don't know, let's just call it north for now. And to the south, you see the blue carpet, or the blue carpet's on the bottom, that you are currently on. The stairs are to the north, and you can go south. He is currently standing east of you. Just sort of looking at you.
Get away from him. Is that like a hallway, or can I go only up and down?
You can make an investigation check to see if you see more than what you've already seen.
Well, let's see how well my investigation will do. 21.
Fair enough. So he's just sort of standing there threateningly with his ice picks in his hands. And he's just sort of looking at you, waiting for you to go. And he sees that you cast magic on yourself. He notices that you did that. So he just seems to be enjoying the fact that you're actually going to try to put up a fight here. And he's just sort of staring you down. You look to the top part, there's a red carpeted area. You see what looks like torchlight coming from an end of a hallway down there, about 100 feet away. And you turn and you look towards the south way. And you see what looks like a set of doors, one on the west and one on the east side, and one directly south from you.
No boy, doors, not good.
So there's 3 at the southern edge, and there's one that you can see up top of the stairway. But that's about 100 feet away. The ones that are down at the bottom, they're about 80 feet away.
Well, good thing I have my quadruple distance with my jump. So 120 feet I do have, so 100 feet towards the door.
Okay, so you're going on the upper one?
Yep.
Okay.
One alone.
Okay. So you just sort of jump off, and he goes... You just hear that in the distance as you echoing off the stone wall as you manage to reach the door, and you grab what looks like a handle that you pull up, and then you have to turn to make the latch open, and you can go in. It's open.
So as it's open, shove it open with my gun to make sure that there's nothing behind it that can like do something.
Okay. You tap it open a little bit. It opens. There's no or anything.
So I still have 20 feet of movement. I move forward, I guess.
Alright. You enter the door. What do you do once you're in the door? I'm not even giving you a chance to react at this point to see what's in the room. If you want to do anything at this point, I'll let you do.
Close the door and, well, try and hold it.
Alright. You close the door, and you latch the latch, so that way he has to turn to open the door. However, you just pin yourself up against the door and you look for a lock or anything to keep the door closed. There's nothing like that.
Yeah, backnets. Well, then just try and keep it in place before... Well, try and hold it in place.
Alright, you're holding it. It's still not his turn yet, so he hasn't had a chance to do anything yet. However, you still have some of your movement. So while you're in the middle of having that movement, you sort of examine the surroundings in this room. You might not enjoy what you see here.
Oh boy.
However, what you see is a fireplace that's nicely lit. It looks kind of cozy in this room. You notice that the room is decorated in pinks, like a pink wallpaper, and a pink carpet. You see what looks like a bed, and it's beautifully decorated in pinks. And there's pink stuffed animals all over the room, like little bears and other less distinct animals, but there's also like a perfectly formed bunny rabbit, but there's some that are a little bit rougher looking, but they're all in pink. And here's the most important thing about the room that I left out until this point on purpose. You see what looks like a very small table and a little girl sitting there with what looks like she's got like a small little teapot and a little cup in front of her. But that's not it. There's 4 more chairs at this table. It's a round little table. It's like child-sized furniture. And there are what looks like 4 adult humanoid creatures sitting there motionless as she is just sort of going around the table, going to each one, pretending to pour tea into each of the cups. What do you do?
So as I'm just watching, it says, excuse me, but it seems like I'm being chased by a friend of yours?
She looks over, and as you say that, you notice that her clothing and her body and her face are completely covered in black. And she just sort of looks over. Her eyes suddenly glow white, and a half moon shaped smile type shape appears on her eye or her mouth in white, and it just looks over at you and says, "Oh," in a deeper voice than what you would expect a little girl to have. And she says, "I've been expecting you. Please, come sit."
Well, I would love to, but as you can see, I've quite a hole in my side, and there's somebody might maybe chasing me. That put that hole there.
Unfortunately, that's enough for your turn, so unless if you're going to use the rest of your movement, that's all you get.
Well, then I just look like if he would stay away, then I would love to come, but now I'm just trying to hold this door that he can't come in.
Okay, so you're just going to hold the door as you see this creepy little girl with motionless adult humanoids just sort of sitting in chairs. I mean, sure, you can do that.
Yeah, Harrison is just not bothered at all.
Okay. So, now we're switching back to the castle. So, the Aarakocra, they want this robot to stop. So, let me just open my book here.
And I hope the others do remember what they have seen this time, because they have seen multiple things they can turn off on DT. I mean,
yes, I do remember that happening as well. So, basically, to remind you guys, you guys made rolls to see if there was a way to stop this thing without having to possibly deal enough damage to destroy it.
Or wipe its memory.
Yeah, that's true too. However, this is what you saw. You saw that its head probably has some focal points in it, kind of like a brain, that you could attempt to remove. There are some focal points in its body, in its chest, kind of like a heart or an engine of some sort, that you've seen him working on at multiple occasions. So you could attempt to take the front plate off. Like if you go for the head, you have to take the plate off the front of the head in order to get to this brain contraption. But if you're going for the chest, you have to take the chest plate off to get at the heart contraption. Those are the best ones that you can get at. You could try to get into its back, where its spinal column type appendage is, and that would prevent it from, like if you got near its neck, that would prevent it from moving, and the head would still work. But you don't know what effect this will have on the creature other than turning it off. You might damage it in other ways if you attempt to do so, but those are things that you're aware of. So it's the Aarakocra's turn. They're just gonna keep hitting it, because they don't know any of that stuff that you guys just found out.
Yeah,
So,
DT isn't looking too well.
either way, they're just gonna keep trying to smack it with their javelins, which have a +4 to hit.
Ouch.
So, boom,
Nope.
boom.
Yep.
Boom,
Nope.
boom.
Nope.
Let's
Nope.
see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. One more.
The 16 only hits. The 18 hits.
Okay, so 2 hits with 1d4 plus 2. One,
5.
2.
That's 9. Making it 15 HP.
So for just regular military guys, not like superpowered heroes like you guys are, they're putting up a pretty good fight against this automaton. They're hitting it. However, some of them are not seemingly doing much damage to it, but they are coming into contact with it, and some of them are hitting what look like weaker points on it. So they're not doing that bad. Goroth.
So yeah, what were you doing, Lily, when we ended?
Lily was attempting to wrench DT's foot out of the wall.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh wait, I have the turn order in the wrong order.
Yeah.
Oopsie.
And second thing, what about James's character? Is he gonna do nothing?
I'm gonna say I said that last time he was just standing back and in a defensive position. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I think so.
So I skipped DT's turn, so I'm gonna do that now.
Yeah.
Because I had the turn order in the wrong order. Sorry.
Okay.
It was my fault. So it's DT. He has orders, which unfortunately Erosan cannot change. So unfortunately you don't have control of him at the moment.
Yeah, since I mean, I can hardly speak to him across the dimensions.
Yeah, you could install a magical item that would make that possible. However, you don't have that magical item, nor does he. So you can't do that.
I really should sometime install some kind of inverted sending stone into him.
You could try to do something similar to that. However, one with the boot and one with the claw.
Well, he does have one boot free, so he can do that.
What I'm gonna say is he realizes that he is unstable, so he's going to use his action to try to stabilize himself, because he would have attacked at disadvantage because he was stuck in the wall. Mm-hmm. So he's going to use his automaton smarts to realize that he is unstable and attempt to stabilize himself. So he has a... I'll allow you to do this. You can roll.
Yeah, he's quite wise, but he is not quite smart.
Yeah, he knows how his body works and everything, but he just doesn't. He doesn't know like intellectual stuff. So like book knowledge and that sort of thing. Like you can't give you printouts on information and stuff like that. But go ahead, roll a strength.
12.
12? No, he got a natural 1, which is the reason why he's in this situation in the first place.
Yes.
So the DC is a little bit higher than 12. So unfortunately, his foot is still stuck in the wall. However, he still has a bonus action, which I don't know if he has one.
Kurt, he does have, but he can't use it since he can't move 20 feet.
Ah, okay. Well, then he can't do that.
Yeah.
So he attempted to free himself, however, he could not do that.
Oh wait, he said he had disadvantage on attacks?
Yeah, disadvantage on attacks because his foot is stuck in the wall.
Advantage if an ally is within 5 feet of a creature he can attack.
That's true. However, he wants to be optimized, which is why he tried to get his foot out of the wall.
Okay.
So he can't do that.
Okay.
Because he used his action to try to wrench himself free. It's kind of like a grapple is how I'm treating this.
Being grappled by the wall.
Lily's turn. She got a crit on initiative.
Sorry?
We also skipped Lily's turn. She got a crit on initiative.
Yes, that's true. That's true. We did skip that because, and it was my fault. So it is now Lily's turn.
Okay. So because he didn't get it out, I can still try to help him pull it out, correct?
Yes. You can attempt to grab onto his leg and then pull.
What would you like me to roll?
Athletics.
Athletics.
17.
You manage to wrench his foot free.
Yeah.
The DT is now stabilized. However,
Wow.
that took your action to do. So what do you
Right.
want to do? Other than that.
I only have a movement and a bonus action, so I'm...
And you have free actions such as talking and all
Right.
that stuff.
Okay. I'm gonna do some halfling stuff and as a bonus.
Technically, since you're
Do you mean
halfling,
by assassinating people or poisoning them?
I meant by hiding.
Oh,
okay,
You
so
can see
halflings technically can't all halflings move through creatures one size
it's
bigger?
the Lightfoot halflings, but you're a Lightfoot, or are you stout?
I'm Lightfoot.
Yeah,
Okay.
so you can.
So if she's a Lightfoot, can she go through?
Yeah, and
Okay.
anyone's can move through anyone that's medium or larger. Enemies too.
Well, she can easily move
Correct.
past DT then.
Yeah, I'm gonna go past DT and try to hide.
Okay, so basically you just sort of duck under his legs, and that stealth roll will take effect. And if they get higher than that, then they'll see you. However, from your perspective, you are hidden.
Cool, that's my turn.
Yeah. So just to explain, I've explained this before, but just to remind you, if you roll a stealth roll, your character thinks they're hidden. It's so that way you can't just keep re-rolling your stealth. So if you roll a stealth, your character thinks they're hidden until they're spotted. So just a tip there. So we're skipping that, and we're skipping that because that's already happened, and that's already happened. So since it was my fault, I'll just let that go, and we'll go to Goroth.
I guess I'll do a first level chromatic orb,
Sure.
Against
Aimed
what?
lightning.
Aimed
Uh,
at.
Aim.
Aim at
Target.
the construct DT.
Okay. 26 to hit.
Non-lethal.
Yeah, that hits.
And he's doing non-lethal, so that means if he hits it and knocks him unconscious, you
So
will
that's
not be
7
destroyed.
lightning damage.
Okay, DT is literally in the single digits.
Then I have to find that table too.
Ah, yes.
Oh no.
It's been a while since you looked at the table. 71 is one of the ones that you made up, and I
Yeah.
agreed to, so...
So I'm drained of all my sorcery points, so I lose my sorcery points.
Mhm.
However,
Okay.
there's now a magical ley line where I'm standing.
Ah, you got this one. Okay, so since technically magical ley lines only exist on the material plane, something weird is going to happen.
Oh boy.
Not happening on this turn. So you
Yeah.
don't notice anything happen.
I feel
Except
a
you
bit
feel drained. You feel
Yeah.
like you don't have your magical abilities the way that they were. So how
Yeah.
many sorcery points did you have?
I had 7. Out
So
of 8.
that's not your full?
No. So
Okay.
by that, it should last 7 years, I think.
Yes.
Oh boy.
So, you don't know the effects, however you feel drained. And there's been a few times that you felt this way, so you're not sure what's going to happen as a result of that, but you just feel like all your magic just drained out of you.
Oh boy, this is
That's
going to
my
be
turn.
bad.
I'm gonna sit down next to the wall.
You aren't going to unbanish me.
No, because the situation isn't resolved yet.
Yeah, he said a long time ago when we first did this that he was going to wait to see how the situation turned out. See
You
if
do know you need to.
I don't know you're being murdered in another.
Yeah, but you
place.
do know you need to unbanish me within 1 minute.
Yes,
Yeah,
he
I'm
knows.
aware. It hasn't gone 1 minute.
Yeah, it's only been like
2
12
turns, 3
seconds.
turns. Yeah.
Like 12 seconds. So.
I thought it was 18, so.
However, it is now Lily's turn again. So you're going right away again.
Yeah.
You are still hidden.
Wouldn't it? No, forget it.
Okay.
They
so
have to roll against her to see. So.
I'm going to. We're still trying to get D kaput, right?
Yeah.
I
Make him stop.
don't
Yeah,
know
he is.
if Lily is on DT's side or not. That was the only question I had there.
If you want to try and turn it off, or you want to try and fight off the Arkokra, or whatever you choose, it's up to Lily.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
this is a
DT
very
isn't looking too
complicated-
fresh.
This is a very complicated situation.
Yeah.
Where
Walking down a
your
hallway is
friend
hard.
is being attacked by others of your friends and these weird bird creatures that you don't know. And
But you have to know walking down the hallway is hard.
Yeah, and it's a miracle that the Jen didn't notice yet.
It probably has, at least by now.
It's been a while, and I was kind of fixing with my internet stuff. I didn't hear about the Eric Proka. What were they doing?
Okay, so just to refresh your memory, since it was a while, they were in formation. I don't know if you can hear me because it's a little staticky on your end, but either way.
I can hear you.
Okay,
You guys
good.
are solid.
Good. They were in formation, so they're sort of like a military unit. If you can imagine, if you will, that people have these guns and they're pointed at a prisoner walking down a hallway. However, they have to remain with their weapons pointed at the prisoner. And their guns have bayonets on the end, and the bayonets are sort of poking the prisoner and hurting him. But they have to remain in formation with their guns pointed at him. That was basically what was happening. They were holding their javelins at him. However, their javelins are longer than the space between the wall and to him. So they were poking it into him so that way there's enough space. And they're trying to get him through the hallway, and then after they got through the hallway, then they would stop doing it. However, Erosan didn't like that, and tried to get DT to stop them, and they don't speak common, so they just took it as a direct attack against them. So that's why they're in a very agitated state, and DT, separated from his master, just does whatever he was told to do last, which was protect that guy from being poked by the other guys. And now the other guys are attacking him, so then his automatic response is to attack them back. So the situation is just trying to be resolved.
Okay.
So, however you want to do that.
Okay. Stop hurting people!
Alright? So, here's how I'm gonna rule this. You need to roll a persuasion check at disadvantage, because technically he only takes orders from Erosan.
9.
What is DT's let's see. What is DT's wisdom?
12.
Well, unfortunately, he's not realizing that you're attempting to resolve a situation that he is not in the middle of solving. Because he's attempting, his actions are making things worse, but he doesn't realize that. He's just acting on his orders, and you're trying to stop him, and he hears you. He looks down at you when you speak to him. However, he thinks, I'm fixing the situation, and he's just going to put his fists back up into a fighting position, and he's just going to keep going.
Okay. Non-lethal damage.
Okay. You are hidden
Oops.
behind him.
That was at disadvantage. I should have that normal.
Well, that's 27.
Yeah.
It definitely hits.
That's
It's
a
net
critical,
as
yeah.
well. So yeah, DT is, I think, yeah, he's
Another
just falls.
D12.
Yeah,
Yeah, you
he's
have to
just
roll
offline.
Click battle axe again.
He's off.
No, just
Oops.
click the.
Yep.
Yeah, there you go.
He's off already with a 9.
Okay, so he is off. Due to the fact that you are doing non-lethal damage, technically he's a construct, and that can be iffy. However, I'm going to rule it that he just turns off. It's like you hit the off switch on him. He just goes and falls down in the hallway. He seems still operational, however, he is no longer attacking because he is prone in the middle of the hallway. And the Aarakocra sort of back off a little bit, and they look over towards Goroth. It's been a while. Goroth, and they start cawing at him, trying to talk to him, but
I'll
he
respond
can't
in my
speak.
turn, I suppose.
Yes, yes. So technically, we're still in turn order because Edo-san is in a dangerous situation. So
He is.
here's what's going on. You hear behind the door, Edo-san, just like someone knocking at the door. It's not like someone's trying to break the door down.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody's knocking at the door. And you hear the voice, everything alright in there? And you hear the girl answer, and her eyes flicker back to just being black, and her mouth just goes back to being black. And she says, in a little girl voice, everything's fine. He's just here for our party. And you hear the voice behind go, and then you hear footsteps walking away from the door. And the little girl says, join us for some tea? In the little girl voice now, not in the deep voice. There's red flags going off in your mind. However, it is now your turn to act. So now
So just relaxes a little, goes like, "See, sure."
Okay. You
Comes
go.
over to the table and sit down.
Okay, you're sitting in the empty chair that she got up from to start giving people some tea. There's no liquid in the teapot, you've noticed. And she goes over, when she sees you sit down, and she says, oh, well, I guess I'll have to make more tea. And she walks off and places the pink teapot delicately on some sort of table off to the side, little like nightstand type table next to the bed. And you start seeing her. It looks like she's pretending to like put tea leaves in the teapot and all that, all the 9 yards. And you're sitting there at a table with adult humanoids. They look like they're people. However, they're sort of just laying there, like their bodies were just lax, and their muscles aren't active or anything. They're just sort of laying there, and Their heads are tilted to the side at odd angles. You're not sure what's going on with them.
So Erson is just patiently waiting since he doesn't know the names of any of the people. Otherwise, he would be asking, "So, how's the tea or anything?"
Okay. So, you don't want to look at the people or anything?
Well, I do look at people like, "What's going on? Why are they like that or anything?"
Okay, make an investigation check.
Something I'm good at. 19.
You look at one of them, which appears to be a half-orc male, and he's dressed in what looks like servant's clothing. His head's tilted to the side, but it's sort of laxly looking in your direction. You notice that the eyes are open, and the eyes within the eyelids are sort of panikedly looking towards where the girl went and at you, and then looking back. However, his body isn't moving. And the other ones, you start looking at them, and you since you notice the eyes on the half-orc, you start looking at this half-elven woman. You look in her eyes are just panikedly looking at you like, please help. There's tears going down her face as if she couldn't blink for a really long time. You're not sure what's happened to them, however, you're not sure if you want to be in that situation.
Let's see. Get an eye at least. Oh, yes. Yes, I can. Yes, I can.
What do you want to do?
Boop.
Okay. It does say poisoned, so who are you casting this on?
Not on myself. It does say paralyzed, so the half orc.
Okay, yeah, it says paralyzed and it does say poisoned, which are both considered to be what this is. Because they are paralyzed and she is, or whoever put them in this situation. You're not sure if it was the little girl or not. Whoever put them in this situation
is trying to put the spell on like an act like, oh, there's a bit of dust there. Just like coughing it, patting it off, but also giving him lesser restoration.
Alright, the half-orc, you notice his body, his arms start to move. However, he doesn't look like he's nearly strong enough to move. Looks like he's... Actually, make a medicine check.
Medicine. Ooh, come on, roll high. 12.
High enough for this check. He looks like he's been starved for weeks, possibly months. So his muscles are, what's the word? Where they're underdeveloped and hardly able to do anything. I forget the word. Like people who've been bedridden for a long time, they need to exercise and stuff like that. Either way, they look like they're in that sort of state.
Malnourished.
Yes, that'll work for this.
So Aerosol just grab
He
some.
doesn't look like he can move very well, but he looks like he's trying to.
Some order of dystrophy?
Yes, that's
Yeah.
it.
That's what I thought you were talking
So Aerosol puts some food in his head and then tells him, I don't think I can stay very long, or if I can, well, take this as well. As I give the food. Come on, roll
Are
it.
you taking food from your inventory?
Yes, I am.
Okay. What kind of food are you taking from your inventory?
Well, some of my rations I still have on me.
Sure. That's fine. You can do that.
And at the same time...
Do you put the food in his hand, or do you put it on the table, or...
In his hand.
Okay. So it's
at
in his
hand. At the same
hand,
time,
he doesn't
feel
look...
hit points.
Okay. You heal him. It doesn't seem to take effect on him. It doesn't seem like he's injured, which is what the spell usually is for. Seems like the problem is that he has just been stuck in this chair for who knows how long. You put the food in his hand. He doesn't seem strong enough to be able to lift it to his face. His muscles are so underdeveloped at this moment that it looks like he's not even strong enough to lift the weight of his own arm.
So Erson turns to the little girl and asks, "Are you sure your guests are well? Because they seem to be lacking some movement."
She goes, "That's how I like them." As she puts something inside pretends to put something in the teapot.
Well, would it be more fun if they could move around a little bit, like play games, move their cup of tea?
They do, but
They
they
do.
don't complain as often in this way. And she does it again, delicately.
Well, some of them don't seem quite well. I mean, if you were to look at...
She goes over. She starts as you're talking. She walks over to one of the stuffed animals and she shows it to you. They're like them now. And she smiles at you as she puts it back down.
Well, they
Seems like
still...
she enjoys this. That she has
Well,
people that she can treat like stuffed animals.
well, those are there for that, but these people need movement. They need food. They need drink. They to keep going. Otherwise, they won't be here
She
for so
looks
long.
at you with a look that you've never seen a child give. It's a look of genuine anger and hatred. And as she says, "You're trying to ruin my fun?"
No, I'm trying to improve your fun.
She's looking at you suspiciously.
No, seriously, I'm trying to improve your fun.
She goes, "Here!" And she goes over to the teapot, pours some, and there's actually liquid in your cup.
Can I see what the liquid is or anything inside or...
Tea.
Yeah. She goes, she sees your suspicious look as you're trying to examine it, and she goes, "It's just tea. Drink it."
Well, I tried to determine what kind of tea. You have mint tea, you have green leaf tea, you have honey tea.
She stomps her foot angrily and says, "Just drink it."
Well, now, someone didn't learn their manners from their parents very well.
She just goes, "Mm." She seems like she's getting very angry. And you hear a voice on the outside of the door say, "Is everything alright?"
Oh, we're just having a lovely discussion, that's all.
"Snookums?" And you hear her go, "He's being annoying." And that's the end of that turn.
Oh boy.
Unless if you want to, you can examine the thing. Make an investigation check.
13.
It seems a little thick. However, you didn't notice her put anything in the teapot, so you're not sure what this is. But it could be tea. You're not sure. It seems a little suspicious, but I mean, you're in a room with paralyzed people.
Yeah, a
This
little
whole situation is
thick.
suspicious.
As a little bit thicker, Elsa just says, "Are you sure the water is still alright? Because it seems a little bit thick."
She furrows her brow and she says, "Come in!" And then we're going to switch to DT, who is unconscious. The Aarakocra, what they are now doing is they saw that he got knocked unconscious, or is unmoving. They're not sure. They don't care. They just care that the threat is dealt with. You see them going over and grabbing the unmoving, I'll say wreckage for now. It's not that he's broken, but I'm just calling it wreckage instead of corpse. So they're grabbing the wreckage, and
Hopefully they can move it, because it's quite heavy.
There's like 5 of them grabbing it. They can lift.
Still, they need to be real strong to move it.
How much does it weigh?
Let me see for that. Does it actually say how? I imagine it to be heavy, because, I mean, it's like a giant automaton.
Yes. That's true. However, these are militarily trained humanoids,
It
so they can lift
doesn't-
more than an average person.
It doesn't
And-
say.
Yes, but still, they're trained more than an average person, and there's 5 of them. So I'll say that they managed to get it up high enough from the ground to move it. Because technically one of you guys, even if you're not trained in strength, could technically lift it up with a strength roll. However, there's 5 of these guys, so I'm just going to say that they're starting to move. They're moving it down the stairway. So you guys can attempt to protest. I guess I'll just let you protest on your terms. So, Gorath, you see them attempting to move the wreckage out of the stairway.
So yeah, I ask him if we are ready to keep moving, and if they can just leave the wreck there, so I can summon back the.
So you're saying this in their mind.
Yeah, so I can summon back the elf.
And he goes, one of the one that you spoke to, because technically you can't talk to more than one person, I don't think, with the spell. However, you talk to one of them, and he just looks over to one of the other ones, and he goes, and then the other one goes, and he looks over to you, and since he gets a response, he responds with, "We need to detain the criminal."
Oh, okay. I guess I can't respond yet.
You can. I'll let it go. I'll
Okay.
let this go on, because I was interacting with Erosan with what seemed like a lot longer.
So yeah, I'll tell them. So yeah, are you ready to keep moving then? The rest of you with the Frit?
There's only 3 of them there. You hear footsteps of others approaching, and the Aarakocra says, responds, "You'll have to wait until you have a full escort."
Okay, we'll wait for the escort and I'll bring back the elf.
Okay?
So I'll
So-
bring back the elf once the escort is back.
Okay, so you hear people coming down the spiral staircase. You're not sure how far away they are, but you can attempt to determine how far away they are if you
Yeah,
want.
sure. If they're within my limit, then.
Okay, sure. Make an investigation check,
Investigation.
just to see.
They
They seem like they're far away.
Let me check something, because I think White Magus rolls the surge on every net 1.
We'll double check it.
I'm looking for my book. I have so many books laying around my whole apartment. I have to find the right one.
Is this the last thing that you're going to do on your turn? Just so that way, while you're looking, I can move on.
Yeah, I suppose it's the last thing I will do on my turn.
Okay. So, Lily, you witness as these 5 bird men are... You knocked him out, so you noticed that he just sort of fell over, and as soon as he did, they just sort of walked over and scooped him up and are starting to take him down the staircase.
Okay. Can I put my battle axe away? Some body part and start crying, saying I'm sorry.
Alright, you can do that. Sure.
Okay.
There are a couple little minor pieces that got knocked off in the skirmish.
Oh, I'm dragging him away.
Yeah, they are.
I'm sorry.
Alright, that happens. And,
okay, so the text here says, if you roll a 1, roll on the wild magic surge table to create a magical effect. That's
Okay.
like the sentence.
Sure.
So I'll roll there. 51.
Interesting. So,
I curse another weapon.
Interesting. Roll a d2 to determine if it's allies or enemies. Alright, so technically the Aarakocra will count them as enemies. And there's 5 of them carrying the guy and there's 3 of them nearby. So 5, 6, 7, 8. It's a d8. Good. I don't have to make a custom die for that. Okay, so you see one of the ones that's supposed to be escorting you, and he goes, and you look over, and you witness as his weapon is currently completely black, and he takes his hand off, and his hand has this black gunk dripping off of it. You're not sure what just happened. Goes,
so yeah, I suppose that's the end of my turn, but I'll be questioning him about it on my turn.
Yeah, he's just sort of looking at his hand, and there's like this string of gunk going from the weapon to his hand, and he's just sort of like... Even on his bird-like face, you can tell that he's not happy. So, on this turn, Aro-san, you witness as the jester-like character comes in, and he's sort of just sneaking, and he's got his back hunched, and he's just looking at you, got his hands in front of his face with his ice picks, and he just sort of walks over, and he says, "You messing with the pretty lady?" And he goes, "You better not."
I'm just talking, trying to see what's going on. Well, just a bit worried about the water of the sea, because it seems a bit thick, don't you think?
Drink it. This is still the jester just looking at you. If you refuse, something will happen, so you can refuse.
I know. I'm just trying to think a way out of this.
You know what I'm picturing in my mind while you're thinking? I'm picturing Resident Evil 7, the dinner scene. That's what I'm picturing at this moment. You haven't played it? Well, there's basically a crazy family that's infected with a virus, and they have a bunch of weird, rotten food on this table, and your character's pinned to a chair, and they're trying to force him to eat the food. It's basically that.
So Arson is just watching him, his gun in his lap, and then he says, "Well, if you insist."
You sort of glance over to the half-orc, and he's just sort of laxly going like this, and you see that he uses the little bit of strength that he has to go. Shake his head no, as he just lays his head back laxly.
Is it a no to drink the tea or a no to not shoot?
He's telling... you have a... Well, the conversation is drink the liquid, and he's just shaking his head. So you have a feeling that he's telling you don't drink the liquid.
Well, if you're so trusting of it, why don't you show me that it's okay?
He takes the glass, and he drank about half of it and puts it down. Drink.
Wait a minute to see the effect.
Nothing happens.
Well, if you insist.
In the amount of time that you would suspect that something like this would work, nothing happened.
Well, not quite sure. So I'm sitting in this chair. Is it like a small wooden chair or...
It's a kid-sized chair that's made of wood, yes, and it's painted pink. And
okay.
It's a chair that looks like it's the size that would fit the table, and the table is up to... looks about 6, and...
So I'm imagining Arison just sitting like all hunched up.
Yeah.
Well, Arison just lifts his feet a bit off the ground, and then he goes like, "Well, if you insist," bang.
So you're gonna hit the
Right,
table?
sent himself flying.
Okay. So, what direction? So you're sort of going over the table, or backwards, or...
Backwards.
Okay,
Well,
so you're just
pointing
gonna...
the gun. Well, pointing the end of the gun at the gesture.
Alright. You point the gun at the jester as you begin to fall. However, he's prepared a reaction. So you miss your first attack, and as you attack...
My only attack. It jams. It bloody jams.
Yep. So the gun, you just hear a sickening click and nothing happen as in slow motion you're falling backwards, and the gun, you just in slow motion you just see like flames billowing out of the back of the gun as an explosion is about to happen, and you see the jester leaping towards you and grabbing your other arm.
You know what the
Unfortunately,
nice thing of jump is? I kick off the jester. Fuck him!
however, he's prepared a reaction, so you don't get to do that fast enough before he does his thing. So, he's jumping towards you, and he grabs your hand. He sort of very quick motion just puts one of the ice picks onto a loop on the side of his clothing and just grabs onto your arm with his left hand as he's just going to try to stab your hand with the other ice pick. So, his attacks have plus 13, 31.
Fuck! 10 too high, damn it!
And he pins your hand. He doesn't deal damage to you. It seems like he's a very specialized fighter, and he just pins your hand to the floor with the ice pick. So when you try to jump, I'll give you enough reaction time to realize that your hand is pinned to the floor, and if you attempt to jump, you're going to rip a hole through your hand.
So, is it like...
It's like, imagine an ice pick, which
ice?
is sharp at the end, and it's shoved through your hand, so you see a metal pole sticking out of your hand. And your hand is pinned to the floor. So if you attempted to jump, you would rip the metal pole out of your hand, and it would deal a bunch of damage. And if you, here's what you need to decide: if you jump or not, because then something's gonna happen. Depending on the choice.
If I don't jump, he will force feed me. That's what I'm sure of. If I do jump, I have a hole. I have like a giant slit in my hand.
Yes. And basically, your hand that's pinned, which is not the hand that has the gun in it. So it's not your trigger gun, or your trigger hand. But that hand will become useless until you heal it.
I'm going for the lesser of two evils. Jump!
Alright.
Just kick off from the gesture like it's...
Like you hear a sickening rip, and I need to roll something to determine something that you were not aware was going to happen. However, it might happen. Or that's not in your favor. You hear the tendons, like, you know how your hand has tendons here?
Yep,
you just feel like 3 of them just rip as you rip, instead of going like straight up, which might have saved your tendons, so like this, you rip to the side, and it just rips the use of all these fingers. So your fingers just go limp, as these 2 are the only ones that are functional anymore. And your hand just has a huge gash, which is...
Pew pew!
It's gonna deal some damage.
Oh, that look on Lolly like a 20-mile stare. Like, my god, what am I witnessing?
Alright. 13 damage. As there's just a huge hole in your hand, and your hand is considered bleeding. I'm gonna be generous to you and say that you're losing 1 hit point per round.
I'm still up.
Okay. And he goes, "Rah!" And he just picks up the ice pick and he gets back into a fighting position. However, he has used his reaction, so until his next turn, he can't do anything. So I'll say that the first shot from your gun was your first attack with your actions. So what do you want to do with your turn?
I can't do anything else. Is there a window? And it's a good thing this spell is a bonus action.
There is no window.
9 hit points back.
Okay, so I'll say that you stop the bleeding enough so that way you're not constantly taking damage as well.
Hmm.
But your hand is still useless until you receive some specific healing to that location. So,
Okay.
there's no rooms in this window. There's no rooms in this window. There's no windows in this room. Yeah, this
There's
room
no rooms
is...
in this window.
yeah. Either way, the only source of light in this room is the fireplace. And you look around the room, the fireplace lights up the entire room. However, there's no windows. There's no windows. So, I almost thought I said rooms again. But
very, very bold.
the only exit to this room
my
is the
gun
door.
at the little girl and say, I can blast her to pieces in one shot.
He goes, "Bluff called." And he just crosses his arms.
I just cock it, ready to fire.
Your gun is not going to work, and you know that. And he's calling your bluff.
But I
You
can
know that
channel
it's not
magic.
going to work. He's basically saying, "Go ahead."
If he
What are
really
you going to
thinks...
do?
Well, since my gun does allow me to channel magic, I'm going to blast it to pieces.
You have a gun that channels magic? Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You have minor spells, because you're... I forgot about that.
I'm
so
a high
I'll
elf,
say,
so I can do
I'll
that.
thematically say that works. Just to make this moment more interesting. So, sure, Firebolt. And that hits her.
15.
For 15 fire damage, she is not dead. Which a normal little child would be. And the fact that you see her just take that hit to the side of the head, and her head just cocks back to straight, she just glances up at you with a eerily unreactive face at this moment.
You said about bluff called, mister?
He goes, "You're the one who's in trouble now." And she turns towards you. As she reaches to her side, something you didn't notice before, a knife comes out from the side of her, and the knife is just, it looks like a toy knife, even. However, when she draws it, you notice that the plastic-esque toy weapon that she had before starts to sheen like metal, and she just starts calmly, slowly walking towards you. And unfortunately, now we switch scenes.
I still have movement. I still have movement.
Okay, you have movement. What are you gonna do?
Yeah. So, can I just hold on one?
Come
Can I
on.
hold on a moment?
Okay, you hold there, and she's slowly walking towards. And I'll go into a bit of a description. It looks like a steak knife, like a knife that you wouldn't give a child. Not good. Not a good
So, yeah.
situation.
Yeah, I'm back. So, can I, since I still have jump on me, because it lasts, let me see, uh, yeah, it lasts
Actually, here's what
for
I'm gonna
a
say.
minute.
Here's what I'm gonna say. For that, you would have to jump. When you jump forward, you have to jump high, like high enough to cause the spell to work. In order to jump forward, which is what you've been using to do that movement. The ceiling is only 7 feet high in this room,
Ah,
and if you were to jump, you would smack your head on the ceiling. Is basically what I'm trying to say. Even if you were to just try to jump forward, you have to jump up a little bit, and then you would hit your head.
okay. Can I get to the door and then just walk it off with my jump?
You can get to the door. However, you have a jester who who seems like he's just enjoying the situation in front of you, and a little girl who's slowly walking towards you, emotionless.
Well, I'm going to try and get towards the door, trying to evade those two as good as I can.
Unfortunately, you used your action. Therefore, she gets to roll against you. The jester doesn't care what you do at this moment. He just enjoys watching this little girl kill people. So,
Well, the thing is, wasn't I at the distance from the girl or something, or no? I was right beside her when I said that. So yes, he
yeah,
would.
you were basically threatening her with a gun, and then you shot, and then she moved a little bit towards you. She is in between you and the door.
Oh,
So,
bugger.
and the jester is right next to you. So, if he wanted to, he could have just swiped at you with the ice pick and just took you out instantly if he wanted to. However,
Yeah,
you
I would
notice that
be
he
down and out.
doesn't. He refrains from doing so, as he just grins as you walk towards this little girl with the steak knife in her hand. Doodly 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 doo.
Please don't hit.
19.
Nope.
No?
Nope.
Alright. Yeah, you have Shield of Faith on, I forgot about that.
And even so, she would hit my AC then. That would hit then, but still, Shield of Faith. She
Alright.
gets rejected.
I'm just doing this thematically. So, I'll say that the shield detects when a threat is coming, and she just sort of comes around and jumps a little bit higher than you think she should be able to, and she wraps her arm around your shoulder, and she just attempts to just plunge this steak knife into your neck area here. However, the shield of faith activates as the knife comes towards you, and she just sort of bounces off and flies back a little bit onto the floor, and you manage to get past.
So I just stand there in the doorway and just let myself fall back and say bye bye. Jump.
Alright? And she goes, meow, as you jump away. And you are, so subtract 10 feet from your movement, and
Okay,
then
10 feet.
from your regular movement, and then do the jump additions. If you
That
know
would
how to do
be
that.
yeah. If I would do that, then I would be 40 feet.
Okay. So you move 40 feet. And that's as far as you get.
And I have
Switch scenes.
to stop actually. So sorry for my shortness of turn, but I have to stop.
You have to go? Like,
Yeah, I have to go and stop and not come back, sadly enough.
okay. Sure.
Something I didn't predict as well, but yeah, I can't.
Alright. So,
So,
we'll continue without you for a little while.
I mean, DT is offline and Aerosol is just running for his damn life.
Okay. So we'll continue for a little while.
So, see ya.
See ya.
So,
Alrighty. So DT's offline. The Aarakocra are dragging DT away. Goroth. The rest of the escort hasn't arrived. However, you notice that after you were just... It seems... Your character is aware that even when he does things that seem like they shouldn't be magic-related, sometimes weird things happen around him while he's attempting to do those things. You just attempted to hear how far away the escort was from you. And then you notice that guy all of a sudden go... with this weapon full of gunk. What do you do?
So how long left do I have on my spell management?
Since it's been thematic, I'll say that you have half a minute.
Okay. So yeah, I suppose I would wait for the escort then.
Yeah, you're gonna cut it right down to the line, aren't you? If you're gonna... Okay. Sure.
So I'll ask the Aarakocra. So what's happened to your weapon?
So you're doing this telepathically, so that way he can respond? Okay. He looks over to you and he goes, "Suddenly it got gross. I don't know."
It got gross?
Yeah, you look at his hand and there's like gunk going from his, like a string of like black gunk liquid going from his hand to the weapon, and the weapon is covered in this black gunk. And he's like, he shakes his hand, like he opens his hand and attempts to release the weapon. It doesn't go.
So you stuck to the weapon.
That's how cursed weapons usually work. So,
Okay,
goes,
so...
and he just has this extremely perturbed, disgusted face.
Okay, so then I would try and speak telepathically to Lily and say, I think I cursed this weapon, and I point towards the other Aarakocra, the one stuck to his weapon.
Well, you notice that another one just zoomed down the hallway for no reason, so you're not sure what that was about.
I forget things quickly.
However, this guy is right in front of you, and... So, you telepathically tell that to Lily. I'll say that thematically, since the guy playing Aeroson has left, I'll say that we're out of initiative, and he's gone into NPC. So, you guys don't know what's happening to him. But if you decide to summon him back, I'll roll a couple times to determine what happened. So, Lily, Goroth whispered to you, and I think I cursed his weapon.
Good, do it to the other one too.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna try to curse the other one. On instructions from
Do
Lily.
you have a spell that does that?
No.
So you...
Well, all my spells does that.
They can. True. That is true.
Okay, so I'm gonna disguise... What's gonna look menacing? Okay, so I'm gonna try to take the form of some sort of undead, like a ghost or something, as well as I can with disguise itself.
Oh, and by the way, you still have that undead bird creature following you.
Oh, yeah.
They haven't said or done anything about it.
I'll transform myself into some sort of like spooky ghost, as spooky as I can get, so I get my tides back. And then I'll focus and use my Arcana to see if there's any way I can curse it, triggering my Wild Surge.
Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. For the appearance, are you going for more of a spooky, scary skeletons, or are you going for more of a like paranormal activity-esque thing?
More paranormal activity, yeah.
Okay, so you're actually going creepy, not
Yeah.
attempting to be creepy, but not actually creepy. Okay, I get you. So,
And instead of that, I need to make a wisdom save.
alright, go ahead.
Which I fail. So you see, as I instead take the form of a translucent sheep, an undead sheep, and I start going, "Oh shit! You have to turn me out of this sheep thing."
Alright, so, can you speak as the sheep?
No, I'm literally a sheep. I can't do anything.
So you can't telepathically speak either.
No, I cannot do anything. Like, I'm the target of a polymorph spell, and I am a sheep now, literally.
So he is a sheep. So when you attempt to say, "Oh, now you gotta fix this," Lily, all you hear is coming from where Goroth is, and as you look over, you see a sheep that's translucent.
Can I respond to him telepathically?
Yeah, you could when I spoke to you earlier, but you already did, so not anymore.
Yeah, you
Now have to
already
be
responded, so you can't. You think something, and there's no response.
Okay, so I use my think meat to tell him, "What you do, crazy? What you do?" Okay, nothing. No response. I'll say it out loud. What you do, crazy? What did you do?
And I start wandering down the hallway.
The
Oh my
Aarakocra, unfortunately, just go over and grab you, pick you up.
I can't resist, so I just and I lick him.
You can try. You still have some parts of your mind, so you can act as Goroth would act, and if you want to escape their grasp, you can. You can try, at least.
I mean, this is like a polymorph, so I would.
True polymorph, so. And you also retain your intellectual stats, if I remember correctly.
Okay, so then I will just use my hoof, and I will peck on his shoulder, and I will point towards the ground.
Alright, and he goes... And he just sort of looks at you, gives you a strange look, and then just puts you back down.
I look up at him, and I'll say, "Bah!"
And he goes... He just puts his face into his hand.
What's your response, Lily? I can literally do nothing for a minute now. Which is unfortunate, so you have to get me out of there.
I'm not sure how the polymorph spell works. Would hitting you turn you back, or would that just kill you?
It would bring me back.
Okay. So I'll say that Lily doesn't just inherently know that, but you can make an Arcana roll to determine whether or not that would work.
Take any damage over 1.
Okay, so he has 1 HP. So you can make an Arcana roll to determine whether or not you deduce that this is probably a spell that if you hit him, he turns back.
6.
No, you don't know.
I'm fluffy.
You see a sheep. However, Lily would react to a sheep.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so I go over to him, and I hug. I rub my neck off. And... Okay, we're gonna get you out of this! Pat his head lovingly. We're gonna get you out of this! You're my pet now again!
You actually do a pretty good sheep impression. Okay, so the Aarakocra, after about 15 seconds, Unfortunately, actually, I don't know how this would affect the banish spell. Is it a concentration spell?
Yeah, but what I don't have to concentrate on these things. So it's basically until I drop out of the sheep spell, I can summon him back.
So you're saying that it's put on hold because of the polymorph spell?
That's how I would put it, yeah. Or because I don't have to concentrate or any of the spells here, and I haven't taken damage. Because you can cast a spell and concentrate on it, then go into animal form. So
Okay, I'll be lenient and say that if you don't bring him back on the turn that you transform back, then he is gone. However, if you decide to bring him back on the exact turn that you turn back, then I'll allow it. That work? Or am I not being heard?
yeah, I heard you. I'm just considering because I don't think I would have, but I should. That's the dilemma.
Okay, but you're still a sheep for a minute, so there's still some things that will happen. So that might help you determine whether or not you do. But I'm just telling you that that's the situation. And your character, probably aware of that, because this may have happened before.
Okay, so I had a chance to undo it once I started turning into a sheep. Is that what you're saying?
No, what I'm saying is, when you change back, on that turn, if you decide to release him...
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll release him as soon as I turn back.
Yeah, so when you turn back, if you choose to release him, it works on that turn. But if your character, for whatever reason, waits a turn, it won't work.
Yeah, I'll turn him back as soon as I get out of sheep form.
Okay. So, you start heading back up the stairway. The escort comes after about 15 seconds of you being a sheep, and they just look at the other three Aarakocra who are still in the hallway, and the three just sort of shrug. And the other ones that come over, they just go. And it's because they're working for Jin. So they're semi-used to situations that are weird happening. But they weren't expecting this situation. So they just sort of shrug at each other, and then they just sort of get back into formation, where they're poking the guy again. Unfortunately.
Yeah, I'm sure the sheep is large enough to be a mount if you want one, Lily.
For a small-sized creature.
Waiting for a lull so I could hop.
For a small-sized creature, I would say it's kind of like a small child riding a cat, but it'll work. If you want.
Like to hop on.
Alright. So, she hops on, and you start walking up the stairway. And I'll say that you get to the Jin's room, and you still haven't changed back, and they open the doors, and the escort brings Hazmish into the middle of the chamber, and the sheep is just sort of nonchalantly walking into the middle of the chamber. However, once you reach the middle of the chamber, and I assume Lily isn't going to dismount until you've stopped. So
that is correct.
As soon as you reach there, so you haven't technically stopped yet, you change back. So she is now on your shoulders in a piggyback ride position. Do you decide to bring him back, Ergo-san?
Yeah.
Okay, so now I need to make some rolls, because he was in there for over a minute, so even if he survives the first few attacks, even if he survives the first few attacks, he would assume that he was trapped for a little while, because he's a pretty smart character, and he would know that about a minute after you're stuck. So something weird happened, and he was stuck there for over a minute. So, I'm just gonna try to act as Edo-san would act, and use my roles to help determine what happens. So, great! However, okay, so he comes back. However, he is laying prone on the floor, and he's not moving. And he has, just by looking at him, the side of his clothing near his ribs is completely red. His hand just looks mangled. It's just completely apparent that his hand is just in a weird position that it shouldn't be in. His non-firing hand. He has his gun in his hand. The gun is scorched with his hand that had the gun in it. It has charring on his glove. And he currently has a weird, very thin mark on his neck that he just doesn't look like he's in a good situation. He's laying prone on the floor.
Okay, so I grab you, Lily, because you're on my shoulders, and I lift you down to him. So this has never happened before. Can you patch him up?
I can try.
Alright, he's on the floor. What do you want to do? Do you want to just cast a spell, or do you want to examine him first, or?
First, let's medicine check this bitch. I mean, this gentleman.
He wouldn't care. Let's just say that. That's protection from good and evil. So you protect yourself from good and evil, however the spell is not expended and nothing happens. However, you roll a medicine check, and 10 is technically enough to revive or stabilize somebody if they're unstable. However, you're just examining him. So
Right.
I'll say that he is not in a good way. He is still breathing, however.
Okay.
Just very shallow breaths. You notice that there's no blood coming from his mangled hand. So perhaps something happened while he was away where he just fixed that. Because you've used magic to heal people, and you notice that there's obvious healing that happened in that area, magically. It doesn't look like it's just a natural wound. So it's sort of closed up a little bit, but it's not completely closed. And you can see that the tendons in his hand are ripped, so his fingers will be non-functional until he sees a healer, usually. Specialty clerics that deal with broken bones and things to help people heal. Until he sees somebody like that, his hand is going to be non-functional, and if he doesn't see them soon, his hand may remain non-functional.
He used restoration on himself, correct?
No, on the orc.
Yeah, he used lesser restoration on the orc. That was in the room that he was with.
Lesser restoration might work, but it's probably a greater that's needed.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I don't have greater restoration.
You're not sure what would heal it, because you're not one of those people who specializes in healing broken bones and whatnot. There's a few things that might work.
Paladins are more specialized in making broken bones.
Yes, that's true. But you still have some healing that you can do. His wound in his side, it punctured all the way to his lung. And because you sort of just look it over, and you can see a hole into an area that looks like an organ, which is not good. His throat, it looks like his jugular was cut, and now that you notice, he's currently bleeding onto the carpet to death. Like, if you don't help him, he will probably die.
Okay, I'm gonna cure wounds on him right now, just to start it.
Sure. You close up
5.
his jugular wound. His jugular. He's still bleeding a little bit, but he's considered stable. So his jugular is closed, which is what you used the 5 healing points on.
Right.
To close
Okay.
his jugular.
Lay on hands.
Sure.
Guesstimation of how much you think he would need.
Let's see. So he has 0 points, so I'll give you the percentage based on his.
Well, he should have 5 right now because of the
Yeah.
cure wound.
Yeah, but I'm just gonna give you the percentage he had left once you gave him the 5. So.
Oh.
Because technically, I've been allowing you guys to give that information, so I'll allow it.
Okay.
No, I have. I don't give exact information. I'm just gonna say I have 78 out of 78 wounds.
This is weird. Popped out. There we go. His sheet was obscured by some sort of weird class choosing thing. They must have updated Roll20 or something.
Yeah.
So,
It looks cleaner.
yeah, but it still gave me a message that shouldn't have showed up. But either way, he has 72 hit points, so he's not healed up very much by what you just healed him. So you can give him as much as you would think.
I'm gonna expend 30.
All right.
So I have 10 left, so he should be healed up for 35 total.
Fair enough. Yeah, so when you use that Cure Wounds, it's basically just closed up, like you were looking at the wound on his neck that severed the jugular, and you just saw it sort of knit together, but you could still see the vein, which wasn't good, so you were like, okay, he needs more. So then you just close up the wound on his neck, and you notice the wound on his hand heal a little bit more, but not much.
I did a thing. Yay!
His hand still looks mangled, and he'll probably have to see a healer. However, when you gave him the 5 hit points, he started to come to a little bit, but then you gave him the more, and he is now able to stand and everything. And he goes, oh, please don't do that anymore. And he just sort of starts grabbing his head with the injured hand, and he goes, ah. And he reaches over, letting go his gun on the floor, because he's just not in a good shape. He still has a wound on his side that doesn't look very good. However, unless you expend more healing, that's going to remain until he rests.
Okay. I can do another,
You don't have to. He has 35 out of 72. So he's about half, but he's still going to look injured until he gets some help. But you don't have to help him. You're in front of a genie.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, hello there. Let me just find the sheet with all the names.
Yeah, while she's healing him, I'll say that you can walk up and introduce yourself. Or just sort of be like, hey, again. He's just sitting in the throne. In his throne. And he's just sort of looking over the situation. He's not sure what to make of it. However, his focus is more on Hosmish at the moment. So when you approach, he looks over to you.
Hello again, Deceif. We just had some problems walking a hallway.
He goes, well, I didn't set any traps in my halls. What happened?
We brought problems with us.
Was it him? And he points to Hosmish. Hosmish was very passive in that exchange.
No, it was more his fault.
And you point to Erdogan?
Yeah.
All right, you point to Edo-san, and he goes, "Okay, no, I understand. Yeah, it makes sense." He's just sort of like, that's in a situation I would expect from him. So he's just sort of like, say no more, say no more. I'll make sure that the guards know that you're usually safe. Yeah, you're fine. Don't worry. And he looks over to the Aarakocra, and he just sort of goes, and then it blows the wind blows over to them, and then they go, ah! And they walk out of the room. All of them. Hosmish is still wrapped up in the, if I remember correctly, it was a whip that he used to whip the horses. He is currently wrapped up in that.
So yeah, I tell him that we were at that outpost you sent us to, and we cleared it out from some creatures, and put out the giant fire there, and then we ended up in the plane of fire. And from the plane of fire, we met this guy, Osmish, and he took us through the plane of ash to the plane of air. But on the way, like I tend to read people's minds, and I'm not sure if he wants to kill you or he wants to make peace with you.
Okay. I did hear everything you just said, but just a second.
Yeah. Either that or he can roll for you.
Yeah, if you haven't noticed, she sort of... Oh, I've been on myself this entire time. Sorry about that. Now it should switch between people, but either way, yeah, Lonnie's stuff vanished. So her tablet died that she was using to communicate with. Yeah. So
we can wait for that.
Yeah, she's coming back. She's coming back. So we'll continue the conversation. It's mostly you're just going over what we already did.
Yeah.
So it's not that important. But either way, he leans forward. And he's
I also
sort of
cast
like
detect
this.
thoughts because I would do that.
On him?
No, on nobody. Like just generally in the room.
Okay.
Whatever thoughts I catch.
Okay. So,
so I look towards both
of us. You have to sort of focus on somebody in order to get specific thoughts, but you just get like you get a few things. You get from Alatar. He's just sort of like
at the point where I say when I said like I sometimes catch people's thoughts. That's when I trigger it just subconsciously. It just happens.
Okay. So you sort of, it sounds like a group of people is sort of talking in your mind. So unless if you focus on a particular person, you won't get much. But you hear Aerosan's or Alatar's thoughts of, he just sort of has an acquisitive tone to his voice. Lily is sort of panicking in her head because Aerosan just showed up. Yeah, Aerosan just showed up and is mangled, for lack of a better term. And Edo-san is just like, you just hear angry curses just flying off in his mind. And Hosmish, oddly, you don't hear much. You just hear, I gotta do something soon. That's all you hear from him. And Desif, he's just sort of in his throne, leaning forward with his hands in front of his mouth, and pretty much this exact position. And he's just sort of contemplating, and you hear in his mind, this is General Hosmish. He's got to have something up his sleeve. As he just sort of leans back in his throne, and he goes,
oh yeah, so I turn back to Hosmish. So what did you have to do soon?
And Hosmish looks up at you, and he goes, "You're a real annoyance, you know that." And suddenly you can't hear anything in his mind, unless if you try to probe.
No, I'll leave it be.
Okay. So Dsif looks at you and sees that you're attempting to get something, but he's preventing you, and he goes, "So I assume you heard what just happened in here for me. You know that this is the general. So you can see why I am quite suspicious of him."
As you should be, because I have read his mind, and in one scenario he wanted to kill you. In another one he wanted peace. I'm not sure which one to believe.
Playing those intrigue tricks. See. I'm sure you're aware. And he motions towards you. And he says, "Some politicians have magic that they use on themselves to prevent people like you from ruining their plans. Well, seems like he's doing that to you. That's why you get conflicting thoughts. It's kind of a mess, if you ask me. I don't bother with it. I'm too open." And he goes, "So, Hosmish, I'm gonna have to take you at your word for a moment. However, if you try to do any tricks, just let you know, to have some backup in this castle." And he sort of grins a little bit, figuring that he has him on the defensive. He's in his stronghold. It's probably not going to turn bad for him. And Hajmish looks up and he says, "People are being taken one by one, slowly. I know you don't believe me, but I need this thing," and he sort of just motions towards you, "to stop reading my mind. I have things I need to keep secret for the moment, and I don't want him prying too far." And Dsif just
That
leans forward.
intrigues me. Do I have to make a... Let's see if I am gonna...
You have to make the roll to...
No, I'm too curious, so yeah. And that was to see if I got 10 or more, I was not gonna probe him. But I got less than that, so I'm curious.
Okay, so whatever he needs to roll or you need to roll in order to probe deeper into his mind, that's what needs to happen.
Okay, so I'm gonna sacrifice third level specials first. That way I can do what's it? Heightened spell. So yeah.
Okay.
So I'll do a heightened spell and detect.
Wait, do you have any sorcery points?
I can swap. Like I took a third level spell and I crushed it and made 5 points.
Yes. Okay, I know that you can do that, but I was just making sure that you were actually making sorcery points to do this, so that way you can.
Yeah, I took a third level spell.
Because normally you can't just poof and have them. You have to do something. Anyway, that was just a sidetrack. So you use heightened spell to give him disadvantage. What does he have to roll? Wisdom?
Wisdom save. DC 16.
So, fortunately for you, he doesn't have special stats comparative to normal Jin.
I'm just trying to figure out what he doesn't want me to know. I got curious.
That's fair. You can do that. I mean, I gave you the option and you took it. So, I just need to pull up the page with the Jin on it. Ghost. Here it is. Since this setup is a little different, I just have my books on my lap at the moment. So, Ifriti. Okay, yeah. She said she was coming. So, let's see. So, what am I looking for? Wisdom?
Yeah, wisdom.
Okay. His wisdom saving throw has a special number, just because of what he is. So, 6. So
So yeah,
12.
he fails. He has to roll again, but yeah, he still fails.
Okay, yeah. Because you gave him disadvantage, I forgot. I figured that would fail anyway, so doesn't matter. Either
Just
way.
to be sure, because he found me once.
So, are you probing for the secret, or are you attempting to probe for the
Yeah, I want to know what he doesn't want me to know. Of course, he made me curious. That's why I rolled the wisdom save.
Okay. So, you're rolling for the secret and not for, like, if he's lying to Decif. Because technically those might be two
I'm
different
just
things.
curious. Yeah, I'm just curious, so I want to
Okay.
find out what this is talking about.
Okay. Because technically they could be two different things, so I just wanted to be clear on what we were rolling, or doing. So...
The other thing would be better, but then again...
The other thing might be more helpful, but this thing might be more helpful. So you don't know as a character, but it's just a decision that you needed to make. However, this is what you got based on your decision. Oh yeah, I'm gonna throw, since I have the picture here, I'm gonna throw the picture of him on there. He looks a little different. The reason I was hiding it is because I didn't want to reveal whether or not, hint towards whether or not he was the general until you found out. So he's got like special armor and a special sword, and he's just all cool looking. Anyway, I'll throw that up on the screen, may as well.
Yeah, that is pretty sweet.
He's this guy right here. Oh, whoops! I don't want to edit his token. I just want to kill him. But anyway, he it seems like the secret is, you sort of have a hard time for a moment trying to dig, because he's trying to hide this, and he has magic protecting his mind at the moment. So you feel like you're, if you can imagine, like you're looking for a book in a pile
in
of...
the library.
Yeah, in a library's worth of books. A library's worth of books that are just piled in a pile. So you're just sort of like digging through, looking to see if anything useful is there, which you're mostly just getting useless information. However, he rolled so low that I'm just going to give it to you. He definitely doesn't want you to know that their defenses are wrecked. They could be easily taken over. However, they're still putting up a fight against the Shadow. And I'll give you a visual memory that is linked to this. I like doing this since you're a mind reader. You can access memories, which some might be just words, a long string of words, but some might be visual.
Yeah.
So I like doing that. Either way, there's
you're
a visual...
still showing your screen if you're aware.
Sorry? Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fine. Though I can
Just let
I can stop that now if it doesn't really matter. The one thing that you saw that was off screen, I just threw it off the visible screen because I didn't want to use it. That was the only reason it was there. Anyway, yeah, so the thing that you didn't see anything important. Either way, so the visual memory that you had attached to this is you see what looks like a large hulking dude, sort of like the size of his like the proportions of his body are it looks very much like a dwarf. However, he is much larger.
So a
But
fat dwarf.
well, taller is what I should say. But he has shorter legs compared to his torso, which dwarves have, that sort of thing. And his hands are proportioned like dwarves. And he just has this huge sword in his hand, completely covered in shadow. Red sword flaming. And his eyes are glowing white as he's just sort of looking down at this small, tiny encampment. It's just tense. And there's a couple of these dudes just sort of hanging around, and they're sort of looking up, afraid. And you see the general, Hosmish, as you know him, and he just sort of looks up and he goes, and then he suddenly vanishes from the location he's in, and then he's just in another location, grassy, green, and you see what looks like. Actually, you've seen this character. You see what looks like Alatar's patron standing in front of Hosmish, and the Alatar's patron just sort of reaches out and touches Hosmish on the shoulder, and he says, "Go, save him." And then suddenly he's back in the camp, and he's like, "Retreat for now!" And they start running away from this large thing that's sort of just walking over slowly towards their tents. And then he sort of, in the visual memory, looks back, and you see the big thing just swipe the tents, and the tents just go flying, and all of the stuff that was in the area, and it just continues walking towards them as they run away. And that's all you get from that visual memory, and you sort of come back.
Oh yeah, so I tell them, yeah, you don't have to worry about us taking over. Why would we want that? I mean, it's your plane, or I'm just rambling out.
And he goes, he just looks at you like you're just divulging the most important information that he wanted to keep secret.
Oh, but yeah, this if I found out the secret, so I don't think it's gonna be too dangerous. I mean, he's looking for help because of the shadow, the same shadow that's in the plane of air, and the plane of fire, and the material plane.
And
what sort of
and
planes have we been to? I start saying like just
Yeah.
random stuff.
Yeah, you notice Hajmish just looks defeated. He just lets his arms go lax. Oh, the phone's ringing. I'm just gonna let it go. However, that's gonna be a little distracting for a moment. But either way, you notice that he just sort of goes lax and just sort of looks extremely defeated. And Desif just sort of leans forward, listening to what you're saying. Do you say anything else important that happened in your delve into his mind?
Oh yeah, you also met with Altar's patron, didn't you? Do you know what's he even called? I met him a few days ago, or on your cart actually.
He looks up at you and he just seems defeated at the moment. He doesn't seem like he's going to answer you. At least now, for now.
He told us he would send a red guy, but I guess that was you.
He sort of just looks at you and he then lowers his head defeated. And Desif sort of just goes, "Okay, see. So the proud warriors come to us for help. What makes you think that we haven't been dealing with the Same problems. Because we have, you know, selfish minds just didn't care. I assume, at least. And, Rajmeesh just looks up and he goes, I wouldn't come here lightly. Especially to you. It looked like he was about to say something else other than the word you. Maybe a racial slur, but you're not sure. But either way.
What do I know about the shadow as this character?
You know that it's encroached on Limbo a few times. However, whenever the Gith, I'm not sure if they were Yankee or
Get
Zera.
Yankee and get, they're both of them. One's evil, one's good.
Yeah, the ones that are good is the ones that I'm talking about. Whenever they noticed it coming, they would allow an area, because basically, the Gith in Limbo, they stabilize areas of Limbo, so that way they can walk around and have a city or monastery, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So that way they can actually live there. Using their monk powers, they're able to stabilize certain locations. Whenever they saw the shadow encroaching on any stabilized location, they would just allow it to become destabilized, and for some reason the shadow would just go all over the place and then get destroyed. And then they would restabilize the location.
Limbo, yeah.
So it seems like the chaoticness, it seems like whatever is causing Limbo to be chaotic, which might just be innate magic or something else. You're not sure. Because you haven't delved that deeply into the lore of where you're from. However, it still attempts to come in, and a few times they didn't realize what it was, and it took over a little bit, and it sort of took some people as well with it, so they went to who knows where. They went off plane. The people that it took, before they realized what was happening and tried to destabilize the area to try to destroy it, which actually worked. They looked at it a little bit, and you know that it can take over things and people, and it does weird things to them, controls them. Seems like they have some of their mind, but also they have something controlling them as well. So it's like as if the person's personality just suddenly turned to evil suddenly, and just wanted to take over things and attack people. But they can still act like they were before, except they're evil, that sort of thing. Or they act against their own interests, is what I'll say. Because technically, evil people can. Either way. So you know that about the shadow. You've heard from your companions, I'll say, about the shadow wall and the catastrophes happening all over the material plane.
So would me and Alatar have discussed the things like Harlow would have said to Alatar? Or
yeah, I would have said that you would be relatively aware of how things interact. Sometimes they use spies that have the internal shadow, and sometimes they just make it apparent to make shock troops, that sort of thing. You know the basics, at least.
Okay, so I'll let them know that, and I'll say that from the looks of it, they might be coming from the plane or the material plane.
Perhaps they're coming from elsewhere. I'm assuming that this isn't an innate part of the material plane. But still having a hard time considering. And then Hosmish goes, we're pretty much wiped out. The Afridi are... You must have seen it, and he motions towards you. That you were probing his memory. You saw how much of them were left. It was that camp, and that was it. And it was
yeah,
like 15 tents, and that was it.
I saw that camp of yours. It wasn't that large, but most camps I've seen haven't been that large.
We were hoping to take back the city of Brass, but...
Oh, the camp I saw in the material plane was quite large. You start speaking about that.
And he goes, either way, we were hoping to retake the city of Brass, and we were hoping that maybe you fared better than us. We didn't know. Either way, I was on my way here. I had a favor to repay. That's why I brought these guys here. And Desif, again in this pondering position. I really don't know what to think of you right now. Hunting our people to near extinction. Just sort of... Though I suppose desperate times call for desperate measures. But you know what? Still not sold. Gonna have to do a little bit more convincing. Hajmish goes, I'm not the type to beg. So if you don't want to give us help, let me go back. And Desif just sort of...
How about we take the plane and the city in a plane of air? I mean, that's captured too. Should you help us first, or help them first?
And Hajmish actually ponders this for a moment. He says, oh, the city isn't going to get any less under control or more under control until we go back and deal with that situation. And Desif goes, you know what? If you take back the city within the plane of air, and you help these guys, and that's asking a lot, I know. It's the 3D pride. It's almost insurmountable. But if you can find a way to get over yourself, just help us. I'll consider it. Send a few men your way. And Hajmish goes, we're gonna need more than a few men. Lisa goes, if you take back the city, you'll have more than a few men. And he goes, fine. But fine. Can I bring my men at least? And Desif goes, you want to bring them here in the castle? Because you're not doing that. Summon them when you need help. Hajmish goes,
What about the outpost, the one that was set on fire?
and before that, I'll say that Hajmish answers just to wrap this up a little better. Before your random outburst, he goes, fine, I agree. And then you go and ask your question, and then he goes, Desif goes, my men came back. They said that you reported in and said that the problem was dealt with. However, they went back to check on you after resting up a bit. Sorry, something is in my throat. See if that got rid of it. And he says, my men went and searched the entire inside. Sure, there were burnt things, but the outpost didn't burn down. It was made of stone.
Oh, well, that's good. I tried to put it out the best I can.
Either way, problem is that they returned and didn't know where you were. And now that we know where you are, relieved, I suppose.
Also, we have to get back to the material plane at some point. I mean, that Fey creature, he wanted our help.
Yes, you brought up that fey creature. And then Hosmish chimes in and says, "Oh, well, I don't know his name. Seems like he's reluctant to give that for some reason."
I think only Alatar knows it, but he doesn't want to tell us.
Alatar chimes in and says, "I don't know that either. Just telling you, saying, you know."
Would my detect magic would still be up, or detect us would still be up. So does he think anything differently when he says
that? You mean Alatar?
No, yeah, on him. Like, does he think anything different when he says he doesn't know that either?
He doesn't know.
Okay.
He actually thinks. I was actually hoping that guy knew. So he was hoping that Hashmish knew.
Okay.
But he doesn't. However, Hashmish continues. He says, well, let's just say becoming general of an army of powerful warriors doesn't come easy. You owe some relatively powerful entities favors from time to time. That's what happened.
Well, it all ended good. We got the ride back.
Yeah. However, it seems like Lonnie vanished forever. Oh.
Internet's slow as hell. I don't know what she's trying to do, but she might.
Well, she's not.
How long has it been?
She's not on Roll20 anymore, and I don't know. It's been over 15 minutes, something like that.
Over 15?
At least.
Yeah. You might have to go and start up another computer and change up, set up things. I don't know.
Just gonna send her a message. See if she receives it first. She received it, or at least it says she did.
Oh yeah, on the topic of random conversation, I'm gonna ask the Seer if he can make my skeleton talk.
Yes, the skeleton. And when you ask that, he looks over to it and he says, "That doesn't look like it was in your skill set. How did you bring?"
It just showed up one day. It's been following me ever since. I think it likes to play Yahtzee.
Yahtzee, you say? What a strange fascination for an undead. He looks over to it. I don't know. I could try to do something with it. There's a few things I can do. I can bring it back to life.
Oh yeah, that would be great. I asked the skeleton, do you want to be brought back to life?
It looks over to you and it says, "Your wish is my command." Doesn't say anything else.
So do the thumbs up or thumbs down again. You have to do one.
It has to do one? Are you ordering it to?
Yes, basically.
Okay. So since you're ordering it to, the way that you phrased it, it's just gonna do one or the other. So I'm just gonna roll a d2. Because basically you told it to, if you asked it if it wants to be revived, which it ignored immediately, and then
do this or this.
And you said do this or this, so it's gonna do one or the other.
Great decision making on the skeleton's part.
I'm sure that Goroth would be proud with this form of decision making. And it's going to its favor, which this creature's favor would be to be revived. So it goes.
Oh yeah, that would be great. I think he wants it.
And Decif looks over to you and just has this perplexed look on his face. But he goes, whatever. Sure. However, this will use some of my power for the day.
Oh yeah. But only for the day.
He nods. I'll have to take a rest in order to get this power back, but I can use it a few more times, but this is one of my uses, I'll say.
Well, it would be much appreciated.
He looks over, and he sort of focuses a little bit. And he just sort of, his hand starts vibrating like this as he's looking over towards the skeleton. He didn't have to do this to, like, summon food or anything like that. It seems like he's doing something that takes a lot more energy. And you notice that flesh starts to knit around the skeletal body. Very slowly, like, it's going to take about 5 minutes for this to complete. And he's just sort of focusing. The entire time. And the flesh, you see muscle and sinew start to form around it. And then you see the skin afterward. And then you see the feathers begin to appear around it. And he looks and he says, seems like this is one of the guards from and its clothes start to reappear. He's basically using a wish spell to regenerate this thing. And it's even getting clothes back and everything. And you look at it, its feathers, most of the Aarakocra that you've seen are white in color. White feathers. With like a yellowish beak. Sort of like the picture in the book.
I can picture them.
However, they don't have the brown feathers, they just have the white. But they have a beak sort of like an eagle, that sort of thing. This one has a similar looking beak, except for it's hooked a little bit on the bottom. And it comes back into form, and its clothes are completely different. And it sort of just looks around and...
Oh, hello friend. What's your name? And I go to check his hand.
You notice that it is no longer able to speak common. It seems like that was a function of the undead. It can speak a language that you speak, and usually that's common.
So I telepathically speak to him. Hello, friend. What's your name?
And he reaches out his taloned hand, which is, it's got this bright orange color to his, like, where the, you know how, like, birds have, like, the places where there's no feathers near their talons, and it's usually a brighter color than the rest of their body? Well, his is, like, bright orange in color with black talons, and he's got the black feathers and everything. And he just sort of reaches out towards you and grabs your hand. And he notices that you're speaking into his mind. And he made a few noises, and Decif looks over and says, "You're in my castle. You're on the plane of air. You're fine." And as he's glancing over, he just sort of nods and then looks towards you and he says, "Hello, stranger. How did I
I think you died.
He starts touching his head after shaking your hand, and he goes,
Then your bones just showed up next to me. Do you like to play Yahtzee?
he goes, if you're speaking to him telepathically still,
Yeah.
he goes, I don't know what Yahtzee is.
Oh.
But sorry, sir. You said my bones?
I think you liked to play it when you were dead.
He goes, that's fascinating. However, I was bones walking around.
Yeah. No, some of your bones were flying too.
He sort of just touches the side of his head and he looks over to Dsif and he goes, ah! And Dsif goes, and he says it in common, but he also blows the air that seems to communicate with them. And he says, you were undead for who knows how long, but you just sort of showed up with this gentleman, and he requested that you be revived. You should be thankful. It takes a lot of effort on my part to grant such a wish. And the bird creature turns to you, and he uses his response from your previous telepathic response, and he goes, thank you, sir. I genuinely appreciate it. However, your wish could have been spent on something much greater.
Well, you seemed nice enough. And I tell him, so you're welcome to stick around with us, or you can stay here, or do whatever you want.
And just so you know, it seems like her computer is not cooperating at the moment. So.
And here you thought you were the one with computer problems.
Really though, it hasn't even made the loud noise that it was making before. I don't know. Maybe there was just some dirt in there. Would that cause it?
Possibly.
That might have been what it was. To tell you the truth, it might have been. And then
it could
once
have been something in the fans too, to be honest, like your fans. If they are really dirty and stuff, they can make noise.
Yes, I do have my computer on my table where sometimes I eat food, and there may have been like a particle of pepper or something like that.
I mean, I spelled shit on my keyboard too, so whenever I press the C button, like it sticks to the keyboard.
But like, I mean, like a particle of pepper or something could have gotten under and into my fan receptacle or something, and it might have just eventually got dislodged or something. That's possible, but I don't know. Either way, yeah, the creature is basically saying that you could have used your wish on something a lot better. I don't remember if you responded to that or not.
Yeah, I said, well, you seem nice enough, and you're free to come with us if you want, or you can stay here, or do whatever.
Well, what happened? He responds in your head. What happened to my unit? Did you see any of them?
No, only you dropped out of a portal.
Portal?
Yeah. Right in front of me.
Yeah, and the way that you saw it, it just appeared, so it could have been a portal, you're not sure. And he goes, this is troubling. And he looks to Dsif and he goes, he sounds like he's describing something complex.
At this point, when I saw him was speaking again, I would have cast detect thoughts again. It would probably have been expired because I want to hear what they're saying.
Okay, so here's what you hear in his thoughts. He's basically thinking, I have to give my rank and name and see if this Jin knows who I am, or if he's heard of this platoon, And if that's the case, then maybe I can figure out how long I've been dead, and if it's worth going back. Basically. That's the stream of thought that he's having.
Okay. So it's probably not what he's saying, but yeah, I like it. So I'll just wait patiently.
Alright, and Dsif blows the wind towards him that he seems to communicate with him with, and he says to you in common, this guy's been dead for a couple 100 years. They haven't used this ranking system for about 100. And then he goes back to him and he's listening to him. He blows more and the cawing continues. And then eventually he turns back to you and he says, there's no point. They won't know who I am.
Who won't know who we are? I ask him.
The people of Aqua. I'm pretty sure that's the name of the city. It's the city in the plane of air. The big city. Either way, that's what I'm referring to. If that's not what it's called, then.
So yeah, just tell him. Oh, we lost the city of Aqua. It's captured by Shadow now. Just randomly, without any context.
He goes, captured. Sir, I don't know what this shadow is, but if it's captured, that is not a good sign. I suppose an ancient dead soldier would be good enough to save them as an aid. If you're heading that way, I'll join you.
Yeah, well, we were thinking of that, but we also have some other tasks. I'm not sure which to do first.
I assume you have a group that you're traveling around with.
Oh yeah, and I point towards the corpse first, and then I point towards the halfling that's standing above the corpse, and I point towards the guy standing next to one of the walls, probably trying to hide away.
Yeah, he's just sort of observing.
Yeah.
And he goes...
And I yell out, "Hey, Avatar, my skeleton came back to life."
He looks over and nods, and then he goes, I'm just watching. I'm not very good with dead people.
He's not dead anymore.
I'll leave that to you. He just stands next to the wall.
Okay.
Alright. So, he seems like he wants to join you if you guys head that direction.
Yeah, I'm not sure. But for now, let's just calm down. The city's gonna be there tomorrow anyway.
Yeah, so I suppose the city of Aqua would stand for longer than any of us. I'm a testament to that, I suppose. And you see his outward form just go.
Some bones fall out. No.
But he laughs with a strange cawing noise mixed with it.
Yeah. And I also tell him, so yeah, I sometimes read minds, but not always. So you just poke me if you want to open up the pathway.
He goes, all right. What languages do you speak?
I tell him Common, I speak Sladi, I speak Draconic, and I speak Sylvan.
And he sort of looks over towards Dsif, and his beak oddly just opens a little bit, and you see like little weird flesh-like appendages appear, and he starts actually talking to you, and he goes, and his tongue is actually moving in his lips.
Oh, that's cool. What language was that? Well, like, what did he say? I don't ask him that because I would have known.
He speaks in common. But,
okay.
Oh
well, so you speak Common too.
That's not very common, if you'll excuse my pun. He's basically saying it's not very common for his people to speak this. And he goes, I'm not good at this. It sounds. It definitely sounds like a bird that is talking to you. It's very parrot-like.
So yeah, I tell him, yeah, I don't think it's common because it's spoken here. I think it's the material plane because there's so many people there and they speak common to communicate.
Right. It sounds like his thoughts when they were communicating to you. He sounded like gruff and rough and tumble and like a military guy would. But when he's talking common, he sounds just almost comical.
Yeah, I don't mention that because I don't want to be rude to him. But I'm just so.
And he goes.
I look over.
Before you do what you were going to do, he says, "Well, when you're in representative of Aqua, sometimes people who speak common show up and they need a guard to tell them where to go."
Oh yeah, that's why I have this, and I send him a message and I said.
And then he goes, "That's useful, but not every human has that ability."
Oh yeah, but I'm not a human.
And he nods towards you and he says, Right. However, mostly humans come to visit."
Oh. Well, I don't have any humans with me. I have some elves though. I keep speaking in his mind because it's easier.
And he responds back and he goes, "Yeah, notice. Well, I suppose adventuring parties aren't always made of humans and dwarves." He's basically trying to indicate that at the time that he was around, it was mostly dwarves and humans that would show up.
Well, let's. Yeah, she might have gotten the PC off. Yeah, I'll just start. I'll just randomly start going over to Hosmish and I say, I don't think we need this anymore, and I'll start to take off his restraints.
He stands up. His armor plating, which I failed to mention, to try to give him more of a mystique. I didn't really describe what he was wearing and whatnot. He stands up, his armor plating sort of rustling a little bit. And he walks over to Deesif. And Deesif cautiously just sort of looks at him, and he has his arm up defensively. And then he looks at that he's not being aggressive at the moment, and he sort of goes back, and they start conversing a little bit. Anything you want to do?
So what time of day is it? It's like
today. These planes are weird, so you can't just look out a window and see what time it is. Because
I'm thinking in front of how long have I been up, basically.
How long have you been awake? Yes, I was going to answer that as well, but she says she might be able to come back. Let's see. Is she here? No.
Not yet.
She might show up soon.
Ah, there we go.
Oh, she is there.
Slightly there. Now she's more there.
It works! Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Cool.
Better than
Yeah.
none other
Yay!
one,
Okay, I'm back.
Nobody
this
died.
is way better sound.
Yeah, way better sound. So if you can get this to work,
That was the journey.
nothing's happened on your end.
No, there's plenty of things about that.
Basically froze time. However, Alatar is still alive, so nobody's dead.
Okay.
I sort of froze time for you guys, and
Actually, less than nobody is dead. Because we went the other way.
either way, you have been with Alatar, or Erosan, I mean, sorry. You've been with Erosan, and you sort of glance over and you notice that, at least for the moment, we'll see what you do. He is talking with, Disif, and Hajmish is also talking, and he has an undead bird next to him, which you knew about. However, they're just sort of having a conversation for the moment.
Okay.
So you're sitting next to Erosan, which I will try to control in a way that is appropriate. And he's just sort of laying on the floor in pain. He is able to get up if he wanted to, but he realizes that he's in Disiv's castle, so he's not going to get up. And he just sort of lays there and he goes, stupid frog. And he just sort of lays there. Do you want to interact with him at all?
Do we make fun of him yet?
Make fun of who?
Do we make fun of him yet, Ben?
Oh.
For like getting his hand all screwed up?
Always. I mean, it's...
Yeah, screwed up! Your hand screwed up! Your hand screwed up! Stupid!
He goes, shut up. As he sort of just pushes you away a little bit. Not too hard, but just enough to get you far enough away so that way he can get back up onto his feet and start walking away. He seems genuinely angry at Goroth for having sent him away. And then he looks around, realizing that his companion is no longer with him, and he turns to you quickly and he goes, "Where is DT?"
They tried to take him away, and I tried to save him, and I hugged him, and then, like,
so
he's gone.
He goes, and then he actually walks the opposite direction that he was walking. And he goes up to Disif and he says, "Where is my companion? You know, the robot, DT." And Disif sort of just sits in this position as he walks over. So I'll just say that this happened intermediary during the conversation that you had. And he goes, "Oh, he was down in the dungeons. You apparently caused a disturbance." And he just walks off.
Bye.
So he walks away. He cares a lot about DT,
Bye.
so that makes sense for him to have done.
Mhm.
And he just walks out the room. And you're not sure where he goes from there, because he's in NPC mode.
Probably to the dungeon. But
Well,
there's a
he'll
dragon.
He'll try to find his way there. Not make it there. Either way. So, Lily, do you want to listen in to the conversation that Goroth and Disif and Hosmish are having.
Sure.
Alright, so I'll say that since the conversation already happened, unless if you want to add anything, I'm just going to describe what happened. Because while you were gone, he basically solved the situation. Basically, Dsif and Hosmish are sort of at odds. You find out that Hosmish is technically the general of his people.
Oh, shoot.
So, he... Technically, the reason that gets found out is because, and you can rewatch it if you want to relive the conversation. However, for now, I'm just going to quickly give a rundown. Goroth technically read Hosmish's mind to find that out. Actually, Dsif told Goroth that happened, and then he read his mind.
You said something about the secret, which got me really intrigued.
Yeah, he said that Hosmish said that he wants nobody probing into his mind because he has something important that he wants to keep secret.
And I rolled a wisdom save to see if I would get intrigued or stay back, and I failed that one, so of course I went in to probe him.
So he probed his mind, and it turns out that the Ifriti are not doing well. The Shadow has taken over their city, and there's only, like, maybe 20 of them left, including Hosmish, that aren't taken by Shadow. Also he found out that Hosmish was the one who was contacted by Alatar's patron. When Alatar called out for help, his patron tried to get Hosmish to help him. So they found that out through his mind probe. He sort of got an attachment to the information that he wanted.
We kind of already knew that, though, because the patron himself said he sent a red guy. Did you receive the help, basically? So.
Yeah, but he sort of just got a visual memory of that happening. Either way, that happened, and basically they went back and forth. Dsif and Hosmish, which Dsif is the genie. They went back and forth. Can I trust you? And basically, Dsif agreed that if Hosmish took back the main city of the Plane of Air, or helped them with it, then he would trust him enough to go to the Plane of Fire and help them take that back.
Which was my idea.
It was Goroth's idea, but they agreed. And yeah, that's basically what happened. There were some possible, basically like a slave master going to his slaves and saying, I need your help, basically. There were some uncomfortable situations where Hosmish almost said probably something he shouldn't have, and refrained from doing so, and Dsif was pretty upset that the Ifriti have hunted the Genie almost into extinction, so Dsif is one of the few that actually remain, and there was a little bit of conversation about that. However, they agreed to a stalemate for now until things can get back to normal. So that's basically what happened. And you notice that after that conversation, Goroth and Dsif are having a conversation for a little bit. And you can pay attention to that if you want. If you want to do something else, you can.
Okay, so that's all I gather from the conversation by listening in.
Yeah. Unless if you want to listen into this next part, which we did a lot.
There was
Yeah.
also the part where I said I don't know what we're gonna do next. Either if we're gonna help them with the City of Air, we also have to go back to the material plane. So if you have any comment on what you want to do.
Yeah, but before that happens, I'm gonna let Lily decide if she wants to do something else.
Hold on, let me pack my things.
Sorry, you just cut out.
Hold
for a
on,
second.
let me pack my things.
Okay.
Is that?
Yep,
Okay.
she's ready to go.
I didn't hear everything, so it might just be my internet. But either way, it might come out better on the recording. Is what I'm trying to say. Either way, you start putting your stuff that's already in your bags again.
You take it out, put it back in.
Basically. So did you want to listen in on Goroth's shenanigans that he got up to?
Oh, yes.
Okay, so he goes up to Desif, and Desif starts concentrating for a moment, and you notice that his hand is in this position and is just shaking violently. And you look over and you see that the undead bird man that you guys befriended, skin and sinew and muscle just begins to appear slowly on him. I'm not sure what's happening, because you were sort of just fooling around with your belongings for a second.
Mhm.
So you're not sure what's happening, but you can look at it if you want.
Okay, do you want me to roll a perception roll or something?
No. Yeah, I'm just allowing you to choose whether or not you pay attention to what's happening.
Yes, for something like this, yes.
Okay. Eventually, the bird being gets its skin and all its body parts back. And this one is different from the Aarakocra that you've seen. This one has black feathers, whereas the ones that you've seen have all white feathers. And this one has black feathers, and instead of like a dullish brown color for their talon, like their hands, which look like talons, this one has bright orange and like black claws on the end. And he just sort of comes back, and him and Goroth have a bit of a conversation. I'm not gonna rip all that up. I'm gonna let that happen. So Lily, you start noticing that they start talking with Desif and them, and you're not entirely sure what's happening. I'll give you the cliff notes.
Okay.
Apparently, this bird creature has been dead for a long time. And it's very thankful that it's been revived. However, it's not sure why. It seems sort of confused. Because it keeps shaking Goroth's hand over and over. Thankfully. And you can see a confused expression on its face. However, it doesn't really express much of that in common. However, it does speak common after a while. And it sounds basically what you would imagine a parrot to sound if it were speaking English. Which parrots can speak English. But like a humanoid parrot is what I'm trying to say. So, it sounds like that. And then I'll say that you walk over in the middle of them talking. And it just sort of looks, as you walk over, it's sort of shaking Goroth's hand again.
Oh yeah, we didn't get your name. And I look over towards you, Lily. This is my new friend. He's about to tell me his name.
He looks over.
What's your name? What's your name? I want
Goes, not sure that's relevant anymore, but let's see. Does he remember
Let's
his
not
name?
talk about elephants and their ears!
We can call you Flying Bones.
Just give him a moment. He'll give you something, but you can call him whatever you want. I just want to make sure I
Flying
spell
Bones
this.
sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, because its bones was flying earlier.
There we
Like
go.
I just had a whim and decided, oh hey Jin, can you revive this guy who's been following me around?
Yeah,
And
just
this
on a
is
whim,
there.
he asked Dees if he would help revive that guy. He said yes. Alright. So, I'm going to do this thematically. So I'm going to put it in the chat, but I'm going to describe how he reveals his name thematically. So, it's in the Google Hangouts. He goes, well, my native tongue, my name is... And unless you ask him to translate that to common, that is what he's going to say.
So I tried to repeat it.
No.
Crack!
He goes, fine, I'll say it in a way that you can understand it. Chloress is what
Flores. Yeah, that was easier.
he said.
I'm gonna call you Chloe!
He looks down.
You like
And-
Chloe.
He
I like Chloe!
he nods his head and he says, right, being called worse. And he says that in common to you.
That's a girl's name! That's a girl's name! Are you a girl?
You sort of cut out for me, so I don't know.
That's a girl's name. Are you a girl?
Ah, and he goes, well, I'm not a female of my race. However, I'll allow you to call me whatever you wish.
Okay.
Yes,
You're
and
pretty!
he actually talks slow like that.
Oh, Jesus.
Because
You're pretty! You look like a girl! I'm gonna call you Chloe! Yay!
he goes, we have certain elements to us. Sure.
I tell him in his mind the small one means no offense.
Sorry, I didn't.
I tell him in his mind the small one means no offense.
Yeah. And he answers back in your mind. He says, I get you. But at least she's not being racist. He looks down and pats her on the head with his taloned hand.
So yeah, Lily, what
She
do you want to
waves.
do next? Maybe we should. I think we should stay at the palace for tomorrow. But what do you want to do tomorrow? You want to try and go to?
I've never been in a palace! Let's go to the palace!
We were in the palace last time we were
Can
here.
we? Let's go again!
Yeah, but we are here already. This is
Was
the palace.
Lily there or was it Ost?
Yeah, we were. Everyone was there. This is it.
Okay.
The past.
Yeah, you've been
No,
here
it
before.
should be bigger! It needs to be bigger!
But you were just sort of in this room and nowhere else.
Well, there are places
It should be
outside.
bigger! Why isn't it bigger?
Well, I don't know who built it. It seems big to me.
That's your wrong idea of bigness!
How big should it be then?
And while
Big
you
enough
guys
to get the job done!
you look over Lily, you sort of just are, while you're gesturing wildly while you're saying this,
Yeah.
I'll say, you notice that Deesif, as soon as you said that his castle wasn't big enough, he sort of looks over and has a frown on his face. And then he looks back over towards Hosmish, who he's currently having a conversation with.
You know what? I have an idea on how
Hey
to
guys,
make it
look at
bigger.
me! Look at me! Look at me!
Who are you
Make
asking
it
to look at you?
bigger!
Who are you asking to look at you?
Hosmish and Chloe.
Okay, sure. They, even Dsif looks at you.
Hosmish, I wish it was bigger! You could do that, right? Yeah, you could do that. You could do that.
All right. So just so you know, you're calling
You're calling them free.
by the wrong name. You're calling him by the Afridi's name. I don't know if you did that on purpose or not. So I'll allow you to retract that if you didn't mean it. But if you want your character to refer to him as that, I'll allow it.
Hey, make it bigger! I wish you make it bigger!
Okay, so you're just gonna go with it. Okay. So he goes. He looks over to Hosmish, and Hosmish just looks over and goes. and then Dsif looks over and he goes, "Since you've insulted my pride, I'll get to work on that."
Yay!
And he goes, "Thank you for the suggestion." And he looks back over towards Hosmish, who is currently...
I have a roll which could potentially make it bigger if I roll 97 and the DM decides it, because it's a random positive effect. So I want to try that.
Let's see where this goes.
So yeah, I just inspect the floor around me to see how I can make it bigger. 34. That was not it, so it's not bigger. But let's see what happens.
Before you tell me the result,
Okay.
I'm going to tell you what your investigation check told you. So you look at the floor, and you know that stone buildings are very, well, not on Limbo, they're not, but here, they're very hard to expand because you have to take the mortar out from between the stones and everything that's holding it together. Relatively hard, and then you'd have to hold the floor up, so you'd have to have scaffolding, hold the rooms up, so you can't make rooms bigger, but you might be able to expand the castle by adding on renovations relatively easily.
Mhm.
But splitting rooms apart to make them bigger, it's a hassle, even in a regular castle, and this one's floating on clouds, and you don't know how that changes things, but it might. And then your wild search thing happens.
Who's closer to me, Lily or the bird?
Uh-oh. I'll say Lily, because she's in the mid-conversation with you, and the bird is following you, but at a distance.
Okay, so what happens is I start to look at Lily and shake a bit, and I run away from you and hide behind the bird.
All right.
And I say, "Stay back from me."
How does Lily react?
Okay, I run with my hands in the air. No, to the other side of the room.
All right, so you run away from him, or you run towards him?
Oh, away from him.
Okay. So she runs away from you. I'm not sure what you're seeing.
No, I'm frightened of Lily right now.
Okay, so since you're frightened, I'll say that you see something weird happen, which causes you to be afraid. So whatever you see is up to you.
But since she ran away from me and it's a new turn, I eventually get a hold of myself again, because it's for a turn.
Okay. So I'll allow you to decide what you saw that frightened your character, and I'll allow you to decide whether or not you tell what you saw. And Lily, you run to the other side of the room. Do you turn back around to look at him?
Yes.
Okay.
At some
You
point,
see
yes.
him start to walk back towards you.
Okay, so
No, why am I running away from you?
I'll just tell you, I thought you were covered in shadow for a moment. And for what I saw, for you
I
guys,
thought your face was your face.
that was indeed my face. I have 2 of those, and I pull out my other face from the skin.
Oh, that's
Oh
morbid.
shit!
That's morbid. So he pulls out the skin
How
that he
intact
crawled
is the
out
face?
of.
It's fully intact. It's like a snake shedding a skin.
Yeah. So it's like his entire layer of skin just empty. Like all of his layers of skin
Gross.
with no bones or muscle or anything. And it's just sort of
Gross.
hollow. It looks
Oh,
like
I'm
a
gonna have to leave in
Halloween. It looks like a Halloween mask, except a little bit too realistic.
I'm gonna have to leave in a half hour, just so you guys know.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's where we usually end.
That's gross.
So,
Oh, that's so gross,
how does,
man. I forgot.
how does
You had that
Lily
thing.
react to that?
Probably. Okay. I'm gonna roll a die. On a 1, it'll be amazement. On a 2, she'll be terrified.
Alright, let's see what happens.
Roll faster.
1.
She's amazed by it.
Alright,
Yeah.
so
Okay.
Wow, that is so cool. Where did you get? It's so real.
I grew it myself. I once
You
lived
grew
in it.
it.
I once lived in that, and then I died.
and Lily
How
was
did
there
you
for
die?
it.
I don't
got killed.
remember. How did you die?
By that flying creature.
Magic.
I don't think it was magic.
I like
It was-
flying. You're
Yeah,
magic.
me too. I can make you fly. I cast fly on you.
You
Actually, it
have-
kind of makes sense
Yeah.
that your character would have memory problems. Based on your backstory.
So I cast fly on you, so you can now fly.
He just straight up cast fly on you. So you have the ability to fly. It feels like you're walking, except your legs aren't moving, and you're moving on Z coordinates on a graph.
I need you to put me down, please. I need you to put me down. Please, thank you. I need to go down. Down. Not up. Go down.
Well, you
Opposite.
can fly down to the floor. Or
Yeah, you can control it. You can control it.
Yeah, please.
You can
Oh,
control
okay.
it.
And the spell
Okay, I
that-
thought this was the.
No, it's not the levitate, it's the flying, so you can fly up and down, sideways.
Yeah, you can choose
whatever.
when to fly. So suddenly you just start flying and you're like, and then you realize you can control it. It's sort of Peter
Okay.
Pan-esque, if you can imagine that. So you can control it, but it's... You sort of floated for a second when he casted it on you, and it disoriented you for a second.
Okay, I Peter Pan up in this house.
Yeah.
Whee!
So when you realize you can control it, I assume Lily's just gonna have a ball with that for 10 minutes. However, I would
For 10
recommend,
minutes, she will be.
Yeah, I would recommend Goroth, if she's up too high near the end of the 10 minutes, you might want to warn her to come down.
Yeah, I'll send her a message once I keep track of the time and just
Okay.
send her a message when it airs.
So, I'm gonna say that during all of this, Alatar has just been sort of leaning against the wall. He's one of those guys at the party who's just sort of
But they are
leaning
laughing
against
at
the door
stuff.
frame while everybody else is having fun. He doesn't seem bored,
No.
but he's just not doing much. He's just sort of standing around. If you guys want to interact with him at all, I'll try to play him.
I'm still flying, right?
Yeah, you're still flying.
Yeah, you're still able.
Okay, yeah, at this point, I'm still having a blast.
Okay.
So I would approach Alatar and say, yeah, you will also get one of these skins of yourself when you drink the potion and die.
He goes. He looks it over and he goes, really? He takes out the potion and he looks at it.
But you have to die.
Well, that just ruins it. Don't want to
Well, you come back to life. That's the whole potion effect.
I'd rather save it for when it's useful, you know.
Yeah, that's fair.
He puts it back. But either way, I wouldn't enjoy slitting my wrists or something. Just saying.
No, I wasn't suggesting it. I was just informing you on how to get your very own skin.
I actually look forward to it. Sell it.
It's a legendary drop.
I can just sell it. You know what? I just got an idea. Maybe I could get someone to cure it, and make leather out of it. And
Or like an armor of me?
like a really grotesque looking. He basically goes on to describe this universe's version of Leatherface.
we have to do that sometime. Do you know a leather worker?
Not here.
Where?
Well, on the material plane, that's pretty much all I know. I don't know the plane of air. We could ask Joseph.
Oh yeah, I go over to Joseph.
Technically, your character, if you made armor out of this, you would get a little bit more, one more AC. I'll give that to you.
Okay, so I asked Joseph, do you know anyone who has who can make leather armor?
He goes, well, not to brag, but I can do that.
Oh, I pull out my skin. Can you make this into an armor?
He goes, oh, yeah, that. You want to make that into leather?
Yeah, it was his idea, and I point back to Alatar.
Alatar just shrugs. And then Joseph goes, morbid. But you know what? I like it. And he just sort of snaps his fingers, and suddenly it's cured leather, and it's cured leather. So it looks like your skin, but it's cured leather.
Okay.
Like, you played Shadow of Mordor.
Does it like have the helmet and everything? With just
No.
Oh.
You played Shadow of War.
Yeah.
You know those guys that can randomly show up that have like the skin on them, wearing skin?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, like the ones that have like the faces on their outfit. It looks,
where is
it
my
looks like
face?
that, but it's not stitched together at the moment. It's just cured. It's just cured leather at the moment. And he
But they
says,
still have the head, right?
you still have it all.
Yeah. Okay.
It's all in one piece, except it's cured leather now. And he goes, did you want, like,
I wanted,
plating,
like,
or did you want to just wear it like a suit, or...
Well, if I could have some armor for it, that would be great. But I'm not used to wearing armor.
Well, I can make it in such a way that you would be able to wear it and still gain a little bit of benefit from it. If you want it.
Yeah, if you could, that would be great.
However, what are you going to do with those robes?
Oh, these robes.
Yeah,
I've been wearing them.
You have sorcerer robes.
I've been wearing these for as long as I can remember. That's the robes I got when I started doing magic.
Okay,
I'll
so
put them in
sentimental
the backpack.
value, I'll make sure they go into your packs. Don't worry about it. And he just snaps his fingers, and suddenly you're wearing what looks like it's leather armor, except it's not as good as regular leather armor, but for you, it's counted as light. I think it's cloth armor.
I mean, the armors, like if I were to wear a light armor, then the good ones would be studded. That's a
You
12
want
plus
studded?
dex. Yeah.
Okay. If you wanted studded, then it'll just have the stats then. Except it's like green and grotesque looking. It has the helmet and it wraps around your face. And it's like you got goggles here, like eye holes in it. Because it's sort of stretched out a little bit, so that way you can actually use it. So it's sort of like you're wearing your leather face, basically. Except it's not like stitched together, you just got like one piece of skin on
So
your
it's
all your body.
my AC is now 12 plus dex, right?
It is now whatever you would get from studded armor. Studded
Okay.
leather.
Would
So
it be
whatever,
plus
however it would work with your character. However it would work with your character, it would work.
Okay.
So if your character has any debuffs due to light armor,
I have to find out what the debuffs are, because I don't know.
that's why I wanted to give it to you the other way, in case there were debuffs. But I'll just
I have to figure out, because I'm not
retcon it.
proficient in light armor.
You're proficient in light armor?
I'm not proficient in light armor.
Okay. So then you'll have the regular debuffs that you would get from not being proficient. Which would be that you don't use the armor properly, and I'll say that it basically doesn't give you any DC, but I'll give it to you with +1 to whatever you have currently. Because you're not wearing it correctly, technically.
Yes, I think it would probably be better with a just cloth one, so it's like a robes +1 then.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
And then you could get it enchanted later and still have that +1, so then it's +1 plus whatever you get. It's how I do special equipment and all that, so it just fits in anyway. So you got robes +1.
My armor class up to a 13 now.
Well, hey, that's better than nothing.
Better than 12.
That's true. But it's kind of grotesque
Barely.
looking. It's kind of grotesque looking. And luckily, he removed the outer layer of skin on your genitalia and just didn't keep that. You don't know where that is. If you want it, perhaps do something with it.
Probably not. I don't think Gorath will want it.
Actually, let me roll. Let's see if he did something with it or not.
It's horns.
Okay, you know what? I'm gonna do it. On the side of the clothing, there's like a pouch that's shaped strangely like your genitalia.
My
So
new
he
coin.
made a little pocket for you.
That's my new coin purse.
However, to you it looks like that. To other people, they might not notice it right away. So it's not like everybody you walk by is going to be like, they won't notice it right away. Because it is cured leather, so it does look a tiny bit different.
Yeah.
I can't believe that just happened, but I thought it would be entertaining. So
It was.
Lily, you look at him and he is now wearing skin on his skin. As you're flying around. Because that's still happening. Any reaction?
Just wow.
I mean, don't you just like this character? I think it's great.
You can call it that, yes. But anyway, I'll say that a little bit of time passes just to get this going, because we've only got about 10 minutes left anyway. So what do you want to do for the rest of the night? Are you just staying in the castle?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what I am intending.
Okay. And I assume that Goroth
I
isn't
also
going to
wanted
protest, and
rest in the castle.
Edo-san wants to work on his machine and also try to fix his body. So, he's gonna do that during the night.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say during the night he's going to ask Decif if he can fix his hand, and Decif will do so. That injury was more for if he got stuck there, then he would be in huge trouble. But since Decif is around, he can magic his hand back together, so he's going to do that. Technically he could magic DT back together, but he's not going to do that because he doesn't like Ero-san. But Edo-san is actually going to help him, so he's going to fix his hand so he can fix his robot, so that way he can help him. Hosmi, yeah, he basically magics those beds that you were in before, in this room. He magics them back into the room.
Yeah.
And they're in the room, so you guys can use them.
So yeah, I guess I would have probably just talked a bunch more to the bird, and I would have. Let's see how many wild surges I can trigger before Lonnie has to leave.
Okay, I'm gonna speed through that conversation. I'm not letting that go on forever. The only reason I let you do as much as you did is because she wasn't here.
Yeah.
So, basically he goes on to tell you that his company went to go face a very powerful monster, and he was critically injured, and somehow he was below the cloud line. He says it's a little fuzzy. And when he got critically injured, he just fell, and that's the last thing that he remembers. He doesn't even remember exactly what the creature was. He just remembers that it was very powerful and it could fly. And it was just smacking people around. So he got knocked below the cloud line somehow, and he just started falling, and then he passed out. So you can assume that the reason why you got those bones is because they were the closest thing to the top that was falling, and they got summoned as part of the wild search.
Yeah.
So, and he was falling and falling and falling and falling, and that was the closest thing that was dead nearby. And you just got his bones that rotted while he was falling, because that's how this plane works. He fell so far that he just rotted in the air. And he said that he assumes as much, that would have happened if he died while falling.
Yeah.
However, he says that now that he's thinking back on it, perhaps if he goes back, he can try to rejoin the military, be counted as one of their ranks, because sometimes people do get resurrected. It happens. People who were dead for a long time, it can still happen. So they might be aware that he could be one of these people who died and somehow magically got restored. And perhaps he could just sort of go back and try to figure out what to do with his life from now.
Yeah, also tell him he can come to the material plane if he wants. There's plenty of interesting people there, from what I could see.
He says that he'll consider that. However, if you guys are going to save the city, he's going to help you. And if he manages to do so, then he's going to stay there.
Yeah.
But if you guys are going back, he might consider either staying at the castle or going back with you and helping your camp. Because you go on to describe that, because you're in a big conversation. So he might go back to the camp with you guys. Because that seems valuable, and if the material plane is saved, then there's wizards who can come to other planes and help clear out other planes and whatnot, so helping anything is a net positive to everywhere, technically. So, he's going to consider that, however, he's more partial to the plane of air, obviously. So he's going to consider that while you guys rest. And the Jin summons, or Desif summons his bed. A bed for him.
Zelon, anything you want to do?
Before the night comes to a close?
No, just, cartwheels, tap dance, have fun.
Alright. Fair enough.
Also, what happened with that thing in the hallway, the magical ley line? Did something happen with that, or?
Oh yeah, I almost forgot about that, but I'll say it'll happen when you guys wake up, and that'll be one of the last things that I deal with. So unless if there's anything else, you guys awaken, and you see Desif sort of just standing at the entrance of this room, scratching his beard, having a conversation with somebody.
With whom?
A bird person. Your nameless bird person 35.
Nameless bird person 35.
Yes, he is currently standing at the entrance to the room, the big double doors, and Desif is currently having a conversation with him. You
I
can't
listened
hear what's
in with.
Well, you can hear what's happening. You just don't understand it.
I listen in with the way I usually listen in, which is this.
Okay. The bird is saying that there's a huge hole in the castle now. And Desif is thinking, well, I had to magic up a renovation because of Lily. So perhaps this might just make it easier. And Desif sees you approaching and says, "Hey, come on over. I have to talk to you about something."
Oh, what is it now?
You made a hole in my castle.
Did I?
What are you gonna do about that?
Where's the hole?
And he goes and leads you to where you guys had the fight in the hallway. There is a huge hole in the castle. You can't go down the hall. You can't go down the stairway. There is no stairway. It is a huge hole, and there is some sort of magical particles floating in the air. You're not sure what that is.
This wasn't there when I was there last time.
He goes, "I know that. That's why I magicked up to find out what happened, and I found out it was you."
Oh, I'm sorry, Dan. I didn't mean to.
Your chaotic magic just made this thing.
I kind of tried to figure out what this thing is, or the glowing particles.
Okay, sure, Arcana.
Arcana, and of course I use wild magic.
Okay. You know that this is something that you've read about that happens on the material plane. It's basically veins of magic that appear on the material plane. However, this thing is not supposed to exist here because these things are only supposed to exist on the material plane.
Okay, so I drained the seed for 3 hit points, necrotic. And I tell him that I think these are... so did I know the name of them?
Yeah, you know they're called magical ley lines, and they're...
So I tell them they are magical ley lines.
He goes,
only supposed to exist on a material plane?
I know that.
Oh,
How did you even make this thing?
I don't know. What was I doing? I started to think to myself what action I did to actually do that.
I'll just give this to you. You have a memory of suddenly feeling weak.
Yeah,
like
I
your
know.
magic was drained. And you have a feeling that that is somehow related to this.
I know. I was just trying to think of the actual thing I did to trigger that. Yeah, I'll go on to describe. So yeah, I did feel rather weakened yesterday in the hallway. It might have been my magic being drained and creating this.
He says, I know. Took away your magical sorcerer thing and made this. And he's still motioning.
Okay, I gotta go, guys. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
I was gonna do something special for before you had to go. Do you have like a minute?
No, she left. Yeah,
She
had to
left.
leave. Yeah.
I'll do it at the beginning of the next one, I guess. Either way.
See, I'll like
He's
throw
motioning to a cavernous hole in his pathway. As a weird tentacle-shaped thing of magic particles is just sort of there.
See, I like try to touch it and stuff. Is like my hand okay?
Yeah, you feel a strong magical force which sort of tingles your hand a little bit, but it doesn't hurt you.
Oh, it feels good. Have you tried touching it?
After I found out it was safe, yes.
Oh yeah, I should have done that too. Good idea.
And he goes, it's safe, you just touched it.
I know. But I should have thought of that before.
And he goes, do you wish to repay me in some way, or are you just gonna...
Well, yeah, I should, probably. But how? I'm thinking. I could try and repair it.
He goes, no, you're not gonna fix this.
Are you sure? I'll try.
No. You did this when you tried to do something.
Yeah, maybe I can undo it as well.
I'm not gonna risk it. You
Well,
made this happen. What do you want to do? Besides fixing the wall.
So I'm starting to think. So how can I like fix it without fixing it? It's like if he I don't know if he reads my mind or anything, but basically I'm thinking, how do I fix this problem without fixing this problem? And I start to.
All right, you're stuck in paradox mode. I get it. So he goes, you know what? It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's like he's trying to convince himself. And he goes, it's fine. Go. Do whatever you want to do.
I forgot what I was doing, so. But,
that's fine. Just. It's fine. It's fine.
But yeah, I'm still trying to figure out what to do about this.
We're going to investigate. It's fine. Don't do anything. It's fine.
Okay, so I was supposed to just stand here, or for how long?
He's just flabbergasted. He goes, it's fine.
That didn't really answer my question, though.
You're an enigma, you know?
What? What did you say?
He said an enigma.
Enigma. What do you mean by that?
You're a mystery. You're a strange thing that isn't understood.
I mean, I'm a slotty. I I'm pretty open. I mean, I don't understand where my magic's coming from. The opens.
You're catching on.
Oh yeah, it's the
Basically
magic.
referring to your magic. And also,
Well,
that you're
it's
stupid.
from the plane of limbo. From what I've
He's
gathered.
also referring to the fact that you're stupid, but you might be too stupid to catch on to
I don't catch on to that.
that. And he goes,
I have 8 wisdom, so I don't know how to like all of the interactions. I
Let
just
me
have
see.
book smarts.
let me see what this means. Because you may have just permanently altered plane of air. And he sort of just motions his hand over it, focusing. His hand shakes a little bit, but not as much as he was shaking when he was doing the wish spell. And he goes, seems that you punctured a hole through the material plane into the plane of air.
Oh, that is impressive.
Sure, if it didn't mean possibly bad things happening.
So can I travel down this way and go to the material plane now?
He goes, look, if you want to see what's happening, I can take you there and then quickly take you back.
To where? To the material plane or from...
Here. I'm going to take you to the puncture.
Yes,
I'm
that
going to
would
take you
be
here.
I would love that.
He touches you, and suddenly you're in a different location. Wind is violently blowing around you. Suddenly, you feel like you're looking at a very, 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 very small but detailed map of the material plane, and it's flat. It's flattened out in front of you.
So I'm looking at the map, or am I looking at...
You're looking at the material plane, and it appears to be flat.
Where did all the mountains go?
And it doesn't appear to be rounded. Like an obloid spheroid. Like an Earth. It's flat. And he goes, appears that you made a hole in the night sky. That's the thing.
Well, it could be worse.
It could be. It could. You're right. You're right. We could have just. You're right.
You should think about the positive. Now, maybe we can use this or something. I know there are airships and stuff. I mean, you can fly. They use them.
I had no idea the material plane was flat.
Yeah, me neither. But I've just been, and I point towards the camp area. I've just been there. I don't know how accurately I point, but in the direction.
You point to the top of it. I'll say that happens. And he goes, what are we gonna do? And you feel that there's air being sucked through into there. So you're not sure what's passing through along with that air. But something might be happening that's not good. And it's going to last for as many years as you roll.
7 years. And yeah, I tell him. Well, I think something similar happened before. It was on Limbo. I'm not sure, but there was like this glowing stuff. But it disappeared after 2. Let's actually do this. 2 years.
He goes, that's good. That's good. At least it's gonna go away after all. Unfortunately, I'm the leader of this area for now. The other one is doing something. I don't know what. I have to figure out if I can fix this now or if it'll just.
Well, I'll be willing to help you fix it, but I don't think you wanted to fix it.
No, you can't fix this, I don't think. Your abilities aren't in that realm. He just shakes his head and he goes,
How about this? I wish you could fix it right now.
he looks at you and he says, try that. However, something weird happens every time I...
Something weird usually happens.
Fine, I'll show you. Puts
Okay.
his hand towards it. His hand just continuously, violently shakes.
I tried to help him or I don't know if it's possible, but I tried to bend his luck to help him if he's making any rolls or anything.
He's not making rolls, he's casting the wish spell.
Yeah, basically, if he has one extra for whatever he wants to do.
Okay. Sure.
Or
I'll allow it. Unfortunately, whatever he's going to do isn't going to work. But your character helps. And it starts to move. This black hole starts to... But, unfortunately, like it looks like a hole that is big enough to fit the tendril of magic that hit his castle. And it starts closing a little bit, and then suddenly his face just goes blank. His arm drops to his side, and the hole returns to the natural size that it was before. And he just stares straight.
Are you okay?
No response.
I check him, or I'll try and do like Arcana roll to see what's wrong with him or something.
Okay.
After I disguise myself to give me advantage.
I'll say, before that happens, you shake him just to see if he does anything before you cast your spell. His eyes glaze over white, and his mouth begins to glow with a crescent smile. And that's where we're going to end.
That's great. I fucked up so
bad. So we're going to continue that whenever we can get it. So, actually, since I'm in a different location, I don't think I can chat as long.
No.
Because technically there are other people who can show up at any time. And some of them have while I was doing my stuff. And they were noticeably not happy, and they decided to go do something else. So, I should probably not continue.
Yeah.
So, see you later.
See ya.
Oh, and before I go, did you add that name that I put?
The skeleton?
Yeah, the former skeleton.
Yeah, I did.
I mean, I looked it up and put one in there. Yes, that website, Fantasy Name Generator, actually has one for Aarakocra.
Yeah.
So, that's interesting. Just in case you didn't know that.
So don't worry, Matt. I have the solution for this new problem you made. I will just wild search.
And then you'll make another hole.
No, but I'll fix the sieve. It's better than I'm gonna make a new hole. Watch.
And it's gonna go to that location. However, it seems like he attempted to fix this situation before, and something has happened. So perhaps he's prepared for what's going to happen, so maybe you're not just going to instantly die, but maybe you are. So
you are. Maybe.
Yeah. So either way, I'm gonna go. See ya.
Yeah, see ya.